Yes.
Go ahead and stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. This is the part of the meeting that if somebody's not on the agenda, they got something they want to say, that they can bring it up. We can't act on it. We will listen to you and talk about it at a future meeting. So if there's somebody that's not on the agenda that's got something to do or got something to say that's not on the agenda already. So, yeah.
Which will be the last time I get to talk to you, right, Mike?
Well, no, I'm not dying. So.
I just want to say that for me and my family and the people that I know, we appreciate your service to the community. A lot of people talk about a lot of things, lots of opinions. Some of them don't know a lot about the subject matter. So I want to say what I think I know about. I want to thank you for your support for fire and rescue. It's evident in the fire department, and I know that you were one of your loves is fire and rescue and EMS, and under all of your work, and especially since he came over from the last generation, I thank you for what you did for the EMS and the people in the county. You were instrumental in getting Nick here, and you turned around what was a dying EMS, and you made it one of the most successful in the state. I want to thank you for your.
Appreciate it. With that, we're going to open it up to this rezoning hearing for Day Church property. And at this point, wait a minute. Did you have something?
Just one thing.
All right.
It's not on the agenda, but I would like to ask you to put Marty Fern on the Scott County Visitors Commission in replacement for Jim Jonas, please.
What's his last name?
It's a she.
Oh, she, I'm
Marty,
sorry.
Marny. Fern is Fern.
Okay.
She is co-owner of Raintree
Okay.
Lake Campground, and I think would be a good choice.
And Jim Jonas resigned, I hear.
That is correct.
Okay.
And Russ Comer did also.
Okay. So Jim Jonas. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is, because that is something that has to have a little executive power, later on in the meeting, we're going to amend the agenda to, take on that request. So, I mean, you don't have to be here or whatever, but,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. So we'll amend the agenda later on after all these other things are over. All right, with further ado, we're going to let our attorney run this hearing with the rezoning request.
I think there was a zoning request that was made under, I think it was titled case number RZ0124 before the Plan Commission. And it's before you all at this point with no recommendation, either favorable or unfavorable from the Plan Commission. So at this point, I've probably actually just turned over to Mr. Kraft for his clients related to the proposal, why it falls within the statute or their thoughts. And it's again, let everybody get their time and everybody's going to get a chance to speak. So, Mr. Kraft.
I'm more than happy to address it from here or sit down in front of you, whichever you prefer.
You ready to set up here?
For the record, my name is John Kraft. I'm with the law firm of Young, Lind, Anderson Kraft, 126 West Spring Street, New Albany, appearing on behalf of Mr. Church, who actually is Indiana Land Sales LLC. What you have before you this evening is a land use request, and that is a rezoning request. This is not before you as a subdivision. It is before you solely as a land change request. We are asking for a change from agricultural to residential 1 or R1, specifically with regards to a request for a rezone. That comes to you under 3674-603. And there are 5 elements to give consideration to on a land zone or land rezone request. One is to take a look at the comp plan. The second piece is to look at current conditions and the character of structures and uses within the area of this property. And this property is 2856 Alsop Road. And I think it's South Alsop Road, to actually be honest. Likewise, what the most desirable use of the property is, conservation of property values, and likewise, if this is responsible development and growth. So when we look at each of these, and we look primarily at the beginning of the comprehensive plan, Section 4 of your comprehensive plan addresses issues with regards to residential uses within an agricultural area. The objectives as well as the intentions under the terms of Section 4 under the agricultural piece primarily address the issue that preserve the county's rural scene qualities by encouraging cluster-type residential development in an agricultural area. So the comprehensive plan falls in line with what this request is, because ultimately the request is to rezone in order that ultimately residential units can be placed there. Under Section 4, likewise, if we look at the strategies and the objectives under your comprehensive plan, same situation as such. Indicates when residential development occurs in agricultural areas, encourage this in clusters of residential development. And ultimately, if the rezone takes place, then this will be a cluster of residential development. It will not be a situation of new roads being put in. It will be to take advantage of what roads are currently there, meeting all of those elements under the terms of your subdivision control ordinance with regards to lot size, that type of situation. There will not be any need for a request for any variances. So the result of that tends to be taking advantage of your comprehensive plan. And again, keeping in mind, your comprehensive plan is not anything more than guidelines. It is to tell you not specifically that these are rules, but these are objectives, strategies, and goals. And under the terms of the comprehensive plan, this meets those requirements in order primarily to deal with a residential cluster within an agricultural area. The next area we look at is current conditions and character of structures and uses. One of the things I did at the Plan Commission, and Mr. Jones was of course on the Plan Commission and probably saw this as well, and I've got one of these for each of you. But ultimately, what I've put before you are surrounding properties, and these surrounding properties are actually set out within the handout that I've given you, primarily dealing with 29 properties, dealing with the acreage of those 29 surrounding properties that total 162.46 acres. Of those properties, 50.95 acres of that 162 acres is actually being used for farm acreage. So you're ending up in a situation where these surrounding properties, you have 31%, and this is according to county records, you have 31% of that use being farms. If you look at in each of these properties that are numbered, and you're going to find those numbered up in the top right-hand corner as you go through each of these, the numbers that you see within the handout are actually corresponding to the numbers that are reflected on that. Now, I happen to have a black and white copy, but ultimately, and I will exchange once I finish this, but I'll exchange my color copy, but ultimately, each of those properties is shown as to uses, specifically with regards to the type of use, the type of structure, ultimately to address those issues pertaining to current uses with regards to this request. And you'll find as you go through each of those, you're going to also find on that front sheet a reflection, according to county records, of the value of those properties. And one of the things that you'll notice by value is going to be specifically issues with regards to the amount of tax dollars that come in under the terms of these 29 properties. And if you look at that, you're basically looking at a $4.1 million base taxes coming in off of these properties. But I think what's important, and again, not saying it's something that definitely guarantees the way you go with this, but if you look, the primary tax dollars that are coming in off of this particular area and these 29 properties are those taxes that are coming in not on farmland, but those taxes that are coming in on residential uses. And you'll see that in the middle where it indicates values, and then you'll look to the right with regards to the total taxes that are being paid by each of these uses. So again, it's important as you look to the current conditions, character of structures and uses. This gives you an idea of what's happening surrounding this property, and ultimately gives you examples of specifically those areas within this, again, being 69% of this being residential use. So again, while we're hearing, and I've seen the signs as I walked in the building, seen the t-shirts being worn, but ultimately as it comes down to be said, you have to take into consideration 3674603. When we look at that, we also have to look at most desirable uses. That's somewhat of a subjective view. You're going to hear people speak tonight, I'm sure. Very rarely do I come and have a crowd behind me that they're in support of something that I'm asking for, because ultimately I primarily represent developers. In fact, as I indicated to Mr. Church, I have to be in Clarksville at 7 o'clock for a meeting there. So if by chance you haven't yet voted at that time and see me leave, it's not a matter that I'm upset with you or anything of that nature, but due to the type of work I do, I have a Board of Zoning Appeals meeting in Clarksville at 7 o'clock. But I do believe when you look at this issue and you give those considerations, and again, keeping in mind, this is a land use. It is not a subdivision that is before you. Certainly, if a subdivision is to come before you, it doesn't come truly to you. It goes to the Planning Commission. Because under the terms, if you grant the rezone, that issue of a subdivision goes to the Planning Commission under the Subdivision Control Ordinance. So it's merely what your decision is this evening will then make a determination as to Mr. Church's move forward. If it is a subdivision, what that subdivision will likewise look like, and again, specifically addressing the fact of what your subdivision control ordinance requires to be met should you grant that change of zoning. Keeping in mind that without the change of zoning, property still can be developed as a residential parcel. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, based upon my review of your ordinance, there can be 4 parcels, 4 residential uses put on this property without the change of zoning. Certainly, I think it's important as you look at that and you again look at and compare these neighborhood review and land uses, and you look at the code, Indiana Code 3674603, it falls into place with what we are requesting this evening. Again, on behalf of Mr. Church, I'll certainly take any questions you may have of me, but I do believe it's important as you look through those 5 elements that you're required to give consideration to, and those are the same 5 elements Mr. Jones was on the Plan Commission that was given to them. And certainly the buck falls here, so to speak, because the Plan Commission sent it to you with no recommendation. But ultimately, you as county commissioners, you get to make that final hard decision. But we request the rezone tonight. I'll take any questions you may have of me. Likewise, Mr. Church is sitting to my left, to your right. And certainly any questions you may have of him with regards to the request for the rezone, we will take those questions on. And what I'm going to do for purposes of the record, Mr. Jones, I'm going to trade you and give you all of the wonderful color copies, and I'm going to keep the black and white.
All right, thank you. Back to you, please.
We could just make them part of.
Yeah, I just want to make it part of the record.
Yeah, and then there's the original, I think this is the original.
Application, yes.
All right. Randy, you have any questions?
I mean, I guess Dave.
Yes.
In what neighborhood are we looking at as far as average?
Okay, what's your question, Randy?
When you go to, how much are you figuring these houses are going to be worth?
How much are they gonna be worth? 3 or 4 or 500,000? Very similar to, not similar, but pretty close to Charlie's house across the street. or thereabouts. Minimum of square footage and the restrictions are 1,200. I think the one that's being constructed right now is 14 or thereabouts, so. And I was really surprised I helped Mr. Kraft put that report together, and, you know, back before there were any guidelines, sort of went wild out there by a certain family dividing all that property, and there's 9 of them that are on that property less than a half an acre. You know, that sort of doesn't cover the guidelines today that currently I'm following, but the 2 acres or more. But as Mr. Kraft said, after the zoning changes, that I would do something a little bit different than what my original plan was, maybe a little closer as possible. So,
What square footage did you say?
my restrictions are minimum of 1,200. The ones currently being built is 12 is about 1,400, and the existing house that the older gentleman lived in before he passed away, I think is maybe 900, which is a lot of. In fact, the house that I really liked, that really got me excited about, is that little yellow house right there, contiguous to my property. That is a beautiful house, and it's on about a half an acre or less than an acre. I don't know the square footage, but it's about 900. But it really, really looks nice. I mean, that would be something I would be proud of to say that I lived in that yellow house. And I don't know those folks, but they do a good job. So.
So how did you acquire the land? I mean, was it up for sale?
Oh yeah, it's been listed for 4 or 5 months. There were various farmers that have called in. There was one young couple that drove by. He said, "Dave, I drove by this 6 times and I couldn't make up my mind." He's a family of the local farmer. And I just drove out there and I said, "Whoa, this is beautiful." I mean, I grew up as a farm kid in Michigan. I raised pigs, was in 4-H. I mean, I did everything, rode a school bus, and I was one of the poor kids living in the country. So I love the country as most of the folks in back of me. And I really like to maintain that look. And I have created 24 subdivisions. So it isn't like I'm a newbie just running out to buy a piece of property to screw up the back of the neighbors. So, I mean, this is what I do. This is what I loved. I always wanted to be a surveyor. I spent my whole line. 2 grandfathers were surveyors, great-grandfather and a grandfather. So my whole life has been around land. And that's what I'm an expert on. Yesterday I got signed 124 acres for the school system as a realtor. Had to help solve the money. And it wasn't for me to make any money, which, you know, you make a little bit of commission, but I wanted to help the school district, and I helped them sell the property. Mark signed it a couple of nights ago, and we're going to close real soon. So that's going to help the school district. And, you know, you don't want more houses if you don't have schools, but we have a great school system, and I'm proud to help.
How do you sell a house?
I don't sell houses. The only thing I sell is land. I wouldn't know a 2x4 from a 4x8.
Okay.
I sell land and property. That's all I sell.
Okay. And how would you be selling the land?
Word of mouth, and as soon as people find out you got land, I had a broker from Madison call me today. He wanted to buy some property on Old 56, and just like selling the school property, if you have your portfolio of contacts, and just like, I mean, I couldn't sell a house if I had to, and there's a lot of great house realtors in the community, and one of them is real close and family with your neighbor right there, and Chris Wakeman, and, you know, I mean, they're the experts, and I don't try to sell a house.
So I guess I'm wanting to know, are you planning on marketing the property, selling the property, just like anybody else would, or
Yeah, you just put signs up, you do
this?
it on Facebook, you put it on whatever, word of mouth, and I put restrictions on them, so, you know, you can't do something that's not appeasing to your neighbor or whatever, so.
And then just loans, no contract, you're not selling one contract.
One of my hooks has been since 1980, has always been selling on a contract.
You do
And it
sell.
really helps a family because it's tough to go to the bank and borrow money in most cases. But if they can buy 2 to 5 acres, which is really what a country subdivision is, 2 to 5 acres, or thereabouts. And if you can buy it with 10% down and low monthly payments until they get their home loan, it's a natural. I mean, it's really simple for the family and it's easy for me, and you become friends with the buyers, and you just have that relationship because they're sending you $300 to $500 every month for a piece of property. So
Right. Well, I mean, I'll echo some of the things I've said at the last meeting. I'm all for developing in areas and I understand, as I want to reiterate to people here, is that these three guys can, however that vote goes or whatever happens, can be overridden. Let me get it out of my mouth. Can be overridden from a court of law. I mean, as an area plan member for 8 years, we were lucky enough that nothing went any farther than our jurisdiction. But I just want people to understand, however this vote goes tonight, Mr. Church has every right in the world to sue the Scott County Commissioners for him to subdivide his property or to get a zoning change or whatsoever. So don't think that it could stop here. Most of the time it does stop here. But there is an avenue that, people take. And I'll be honest, from the government, past commissioners can tell you, anytime the area plan went to court, we lost. Every time. I mean, judges look down on people regulating people's property owners. And I mean, I'm not saying that they don't always do that. I'm just saying that probably 99% of the time, they're going to be in favor of the property owner because it's his property, and in America, you can do almost everything on your property that you desire. So what I want everybody to take away from this, however this vote goes, it may not be the end of it. So I just want everybody to understand that. So with that, Mr. Attorney, you have anything else you would interject? Or
I mean, the only thing that I would say is that I would agree with Mr. Kraft that have an obligation under section 603 to consider the 5 factors that are listed. They are the comprehensive plan, which I think is more of, you have to consider. It's more of I do agree that it's a guideline. The case law says it's not necessarily binding, but it is the plan. You need to consider the current conditions, the character of the current structures and uses in each district, the most desirable use for which land in each district is adapted.
Could you speak up, please?
The conservation of property values throughout the jurisdiction and responsible development growth. You must consider those. I would just tell you to make your decision based on what you hear, the evidence that's been presented or will be presented, and that you make that decision, using your best judgment and not in any kind of arbitrary way that is outside of those statutorily required factors.
okay. Well, we'll close this part of it and have some input and hopefully we'll get you here. Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Got the list. There it is. So we are. We're going to open it up for public comment. And I'm going to mispronounce names, but Bill Comer.
Yes. Thank you for allowing us to be represented tonight. As you're probably well aware, I know everyone in here. And
Well, you should, you're older than everybody.
he's right. But, and I know they're all feeling basically the same way I do. We understand the comprehensive plan, that there's 5 parcels that can be developed. One has already been. One and I'm not for sure if this is right or not, but we do see building going on one piece of property. I assume it's already been sold. So they're moving in, blocks and put a road in. So I think the biggest thing I'm opposed to the rezoning. I think the biggest thing that we're concerned about is after it is rezoned, is that they'll be back here for a subdivision. And I know I've heard Mr. Kraft speak several times about cluster construction or cluster building. I don't really know for sure what a cluster is, but if you've been out on Alsop and Strauss, all those roads, Westlake, pretty well clustered already. There's a lot of houses there, and the traffic has tremendously increased. It is an agricultural area, and I'm really concerned about the drainage. My family and my property is all to the north of where this is being developed. And I've looked at the topo maps that's on water conservation, and every drop of water comes off of that goes on to me, goes on to us. And anytime you slap a load of blacktop down or whatever, more drainage. And I could go into a very lengthy discussion about the drainage situations as a result of PL 566, which was the building of all the water pits, and the ponds that are around us. It has affected us tremendously. I don't need any more water running across my property. That bothers us. I'm concerned also about the roads. You guys have done an excellent job of maintaining the roads, but I don't think they're adequate for the development that is possibly being discussed. They're too narrow. I mentioned this the last time I was at a meeting. I was baling hay, and in less than a mile and a half, I had to stop 9 times to let cars pass already. Now, if it's developed into a subdivision or after the rezoning, that's just going to do it bigger. I've heard also many of the people that have spoken to our fire departments. We don't need any more. We're stretched to the nth out in Bentley Township now. How much more could the EMTs? How could they get there with the medical assistance? It's really crowded out in that area, and I have wonderful neighbors. A few sore heads, but most of them are wonderful. Anyway, no, and I'll probably be listed as one of the sore heads. But anyway, we have concerns about what will be put into this 30 acres, 30 plus acres. There may be other. I was told also. Well, I made an offer to purchase some of the property and was turned down twice. The old saying is I was going to own everything that joined me. That ain't possible, you know that. But we think my sister owned this property and her husband, and I know that she would be highly opposed. She passed away, highly opposed to the development any more than the 5 structures that legally now he could put on there, the 4 additions. I don't know, other people have other things to say, but I just wanted you guys to consider the fact that if they could already do the 4 additional, but they'd have to come in as individuals and get it rezoned. He can get the whole thing done, and if he sells them all 4 additional properties, it's already taken care of. They can just start building right away. But I'm just opposed, especially to the fact that it possibly could be a subdivision. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Brian Harrison.
Like Mr. Comer said, I'd like to thank y'all for allowing me to voice my opinion. I wrote everything down so I wouldn't forget nothing, but so most of this is based on the Scott County, basically future plans. So I'd like to start out by saying I oppose this property from agriculture to residential. Many concerns that we have regarding placing a subdivision in this area, and numerous things that do not meet the subdivision control ordinance or the Scott County comprehensive plan. We'll start out first item being in the comprehensive plan was officially adopted as a guide and action for decisions of land use. The purpose of this plan is stated in section 2 that any new communities grow only within an adequate public way, utility, health, educational, and recreational facilities. In section 3, that the needs of agricultural, industry, and business be recognized in future growth. The subdivision does not follow some of these plans. It also states on page 9, what does this plan require? And I believe it was stated by Mr. Church's attorney in the previous meeting, but was also left out some pretty important parts of it. It states growth is certain to occur in Scott County in the near future. Growth in jobs, in population, in housing, in needs for infrastructure will happen. The first part of this section was what was stated in the last meeting. It continues to say that growth can be planned and managed by the will of the community to enhance and protect the way of life that has made Scott County so attractive as a place to live, or it can be unplanned and directed by the personal interest of individuals and groups concerned about their own needs, but operating in ignorance or disdain of the community's interest. This plan, followed by growth management ordinances such as zoning ordinances and subdivision regulations, is a vote for controlling growth rather than being a victim of it. Nobody around here wants beautiful Scott County to turn into Sellersburg, Clarksville, or Jeffersonville. People do not move to the country to be overrun with houses. They stay away from town because of that reason. On page 13, under Understanding the Policies, it states comprehensive plan is a guide for land use planning and management and development actions and decisions. The specific tools of the planning process are subdivision regulations and zoning ordinances. Chapter 2, Section 1 in Scott County's vision. I'll not read all of them, but the sixth statement in this section is as follows: recruitment and retention of agricultural related activities, not removal and destruction of them. Page 24 of overall land use development goals states, in order to encourage well-organized, efficient use of land with minimal land conflicts, Scott County intends to concentrate future development in or adjacent to developed areas and encourage systematic development of industrial and commercial corridors so that development can take advantage of existing infrastructure and future infrastructure improvements and expansion while protecting prime agricultural land and preserving historic character of the county's community. Objective 10 states again, protect prime agricultural land from developmental pressures. Objective 18 states, enhance and promote the historical and cultural resources in other areas of the county, such as Lexington and Leota, to stabilize and revitalize these economies. On page 25, under General Land Use Guidelines, L1, strengthen the distinction between Scott County's populated areas and agricultural land. It does not say weaken this distinction. On page 26, under L3, preserve the presence of agricultural as a viable economic activity as well as the scenery of the rural landscape. Section A, under L3, agricultural activities and landscape help define the edges of communities through green belt principle. Green belts provide scenic beauty for communities and define boundaries between them. Urban sprawl development destroys the scenic beauty of the rural landscape, which people often seek as amenity. Rural edges help define boundaries and provide opportunities to create gateways into communities. And as was said by Mr. Church's attorney just a few minutes ago, clustering development, but it also states behind tree stands and hillocks reduces the negative impact development on the landscape as well, which reduces the cost incurred by constructing roads and infrastructure to new development. Overall residential goal, according to this plan, states Scott County intends to maintain its existing housing stock, encourage the development of affordable housing and housing for senior citizens to those who commute to work, while protecting the productive and scenic qualities of the agricultural landscape. Objective 3, encourage developers to construct residential developments primarily within existing corporate boundaries and secondarily adjacent to existing corporate boundaries. Objective 4, encourage developers to construct residential developments where sanitary, sewer, and water facilities already exist. Objective 5, discourage developers from developing residential developments on prime agricultural land. Objective 6, while this objective states promote cluster residential developments where residential developments are permitted on agricultural land, it also states to place behind tree stands and hillocks to preserve the scenic qualities of the rural landscape and retain land for farming practices, rather than to allow 1 to 5 acre lot subdivisions to develop. These houses will not be hidden, but be out in the wide within the farm field. On page 61, regarding transportation guidelines in section T2, states for all land uses to ensure the new development and changes in land uses are served as adequate street facilities, which have the capacity to accommodate the traffic generated by these uses. Alsip Road does not have that capacity to accommodate any additional traffic. Guideline U2 is to provide that all developments an adequate supply of potable water and water for firefighting purposes. I don't believe there's adequate hydrants to provide water for firefighting. Guideline F8 provides that all developments have adequate fire protection. Intent is to ensure public safety by protecting people and property from fire hazards. Factors that are to be considered in the evaluation of the development's protection from fire are proximity to properly equipped fire stations, access to water supply, and access from public roadways, designs, and construction materials. I won't continue on the subdivision control ordinance since that's another topic, but I would ask that this be denied and left at full parcels only. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dan Smith.
If you don't mind, I'll just stand up here. Anyway, Bill said it all. He probably knows most of the people in this room. And you won't believe, but we're classmates and we took completely different, but we ended up with this. Now I gotta propose a developer right next to my farm. And believe it or not, we're bicentennial farm. We're the only one in Scott County that's been in the farm family for over 200 years. Now, I wasn't here when it started. I'd kind of like to preserve it in my mistakes. Now, long story short, I live 5 miles south Scottsboro, Highway 31. Now, I got 2 subdivisions right across the road from me, Bernie and Pigeon Ridge. Now, do I need another one on the west side of me? And I know this is not about money, and he said more than I'll ever remember. But you know, I'm against changing that zoning. When you go to R1, you open the door, and I've been to the same place. And another question I asked, you're saying about all the tax revenue, you're not guaranteeing nothing. You're saying it could be. It don't mean it is gonna happen. A lot of things are said that maybe it looks like it ought to, but we may change the administration. Maybe a lot of things change that we're operating on right now. My other question is, and you've said it, if you turn this down and it goes on ahead and it goes to court, what do they do? Just rubber stamp it, send it on? We don't need your board. We don't need all these others, if that's the case.
I'm telling you, that's an avenue that could happen.
But it doesn't.
It
Do
can.
they just rubber stamp it?
I don't know. I'm not a judge.
Maybe we need to look at the judges. And I understand
That's
your
another-
board. Is it just a sounding board and we don't have nothing?
I don't know. I will say this, elections have consequences. And, you know, you vote in who you think's gonna have the same thought process that you might have. But you can't sit there for 100 years with this board or this county and say, oh, everybody always agreed with everybody, because they don't always agree with everybody. But for you to sit there and go, oh, we're gonna rubber stamp it, we're not gonna rubber stamp anything.
No,
And I'm telling, and
I'm
I'm,
talking about the judge. Or whoever.
I could call for a judge. The judge has legal authority. I mean, so I don't talk for any judges, because they don't always side with me.
Maybe we need to follow this a little closer. If you do turn it down and it goes to court and judge, do we need to find that out and see where we're at?
I don't know how that proceeding works. You might ask either one of these attorneys how that proceeding would work, but I for one, am not an attorney, don't claim to be, but I'm just telling you that in talking with past commissioners, talking with past area plan boards, they've never won in court. So.
Now, long story short, I'm not blaming any one of you of this. I just need to know where we're going. We're just done. We're just done.
I don't know. I really don't know what the question you're asking me. So I mean, I'm just telling you that this board would vote no tonight, to change the zoning, that the plaintiff here has every opportunity to go to another level, and that level is a legal level. So we have so many ordinances, regulations that we can fall back on, but if whichever way, they can go the other way. I mean, they can do whatever they want, or they don't. I'm not an attorney, and I'm definitely not a judge. So I can't tell you what somebody else is gonna do.
Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
Joe Ratterman.
Thank you very much. Excuse me for a second, I'm kind of going through my notes here. As you can tell, I'm not real fond of this idea. I heard in the last few meetings, in a brief preface, we moved down here to my mother-in-law's property about 6 years ago, and we loved it. I mean, love it still. I mean, it's amazing. And what I've heard was talks of, there are 3 major subdivisions in the area. Some wonderful, fantastic, thank you. Everybody's views are very concise, and I promise I will be brief. All I have is a question for the board. When you hear talk about needs of the community, or the needs of the community, which is why we're here, can you gentlemen tell me why this is necessary for the community?
Actually, I'm gonna stop you there, because this isn't I don't think it's an answer, question and answering. We're giving you the right to say, give your statement of support or against something. So, it's not unless somebody wants to answer,
So there, please.
I mean, if you're asking, let me ask you. If you're asking how this would benefit the community,
No, what I'm asking is it why is this necessary? Well, what needs will this fulfill for the community?
it will lower property taxes for one thing. Okay.
Let me explain something there, and Randy's exactly right. And I got my famous quote is educate yourself. And I got educated as a new commissioner that I thought, let's bring more people to Scott County. And the more people here, the more revenue we're gonna create, the more tax base we're gonna create, and everything else. That is an absolute farce. I mean, because the state puts a state levy on Scott County. Scott County cannot go over that levy. So guess what? You can bring 1,000 new homes into Scott County and your taxes are gonna go down, just as Commissioner Julian just said. Because the levy you can't go above it.
Unless the levy goes up.
That's correct. And that's why state legislature.
Which is at the state level.
The-
But the more people you have,
Way off.
the more people is sharing that tax debt, which means your property taxes go down.
But there's
To be honest with you, I mean, I don't want to start an argument, but every time somebody wants to buy property in farm ground, we have all these people show up and they don't want people to buy. So what message are we sending to anybody who wanted to move here and to help lower your taxes?
Well, from what I understand, the price of the farmland was
Guys,
way above.
all right.
anything else.
All right, we're getting
It's a
to the
public
weeds here.
hearing for public comment for individuals who've signed up. It's not gonna be a back and forth right now. At some point, you guys will have the opportunity to speak about any of the issues that are raised.
Yeah.
If you have statements for or against, I think we've got a lot of people who wanna make statements. I'm not saying that you're not gonna get your chance if you signed up, or if you wanna speak and you didn't sign up.
We should speak truth as well.
You're gonna have your opportunity. I said it at the beginning, please don't interrupt the process. Everybody's gonna get their chance. If you would like to speak and be placed on the agenda or on the public comment section, you can certainly do so.
So if
Who's-
they state something where we cannot ask a question, because I had
They
a
don't have to
question.
answer you.
Okay, I don't expect you
Yeah,
to answer
okay.
me. I just had a question
And
in regard to
if we
their
have questions that
statement.
are coming up while other people are trying to get through public comment, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay, we're
Yeah, I
gonna be
got
here
you.
for 4 hours.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna stop, because what's your question?
So my concern, one of my big concerns, I'm sure this will be a concern stated, I wasn't gonna speak, but the roads are very narrow. It's very dangerous. Even with what we've got right now and knowing the neighbor, knowing that Billy's gonna be farming and when he's baling hay, there are many times that I have very.
What's your
What-
question?
swerve. So, I guess my question would be, I understand the taxes thing. My question would be, how would our taxes go down when we would have to put so much into the roads and infrastructure out there to make them safe?
That's,
my
I'll
question.
answer that question.
Okay,
Your taxes will go down.
okay,
The issue with the infrastructure and the roads and everything else will be a responsibility of the county commissioners again.
yeah,
You're gonna get more people, taxes gonna go down, our expenses are gonna go up. So that's how it works. So,
Well,
okay.
I mean, I don't know if I answered your question, but
and I'm
It just
sorry.
doesn't, I guess it just doesn't seem logical to me how that would work with the work that we would need to put in to make it safe for.
there would be more.
I would like to
There's an
answer.
investment.
There would be a bigger investment, as Craig just said. There would be a bigger investment for us with the limited resources we have. But I mean, again, it's not a situation where more is better in this situation.
Okay,
Not saying that those 1,000 people that would move into Scott County wouldn't be buying in the grocery store, which would bring taxes into revenue taxes to here. Property taxes will not affect that situation.
okay,
And on another note, and this is a common misconception, is that your property taxes help paying for your roads, which it's not.
they don't, okay.
No. When you buy fuel, that tax that's in that fuel pays for your roads. So the long story short, the more people you have buying fuel here in Scott County,
For the road.
the
Okay.
more money you're gonna have for your road.
Okay,
And that's
thanks.
the
That
only
makes
place that
sense.
could go.
All right, who's next?
Okay.
Who's next?
Randy Gray.
I live on Leo Road. I want to take you about the yellow house there. That's the one I live in. I worked hard for it. 47 years, worked hard for that little house there. It just says half an acre. Like I said, there's not right. It's hard to keep like pay taxes and grocery bills are high up there, they're gonna raise up there, you gotta pay for everything. I'm up for this housing project, get in there. I live out there, I got good neighbors out there, I know kind of everybody. I help them out when they need, I help out there, I stop there, I say, need help, I stop there, I know Billy's on farm. I pull up over there when they farm, tractors come out, I pull up over there, so they ain't quiet enough there, I can talk about there. I got city water in front of my house there, but I work out the well. So one of the days, if I sell a house, I'm gonna have to get on city water. But right now, it's well. I like to live out in the country. Nobody around. Got good neighbors like I said there. And it was cheaper at the time. Or now it ain't getting so cheaper anymore. Everything's getting raised up or higher. And that's the taxes is one thing. Groceries is another thing.
We can't handle.
I know we can't handle that there. But, I like to live out there where there ain't nobody around hardly. And I know people. And I'm just, so my concern, I'm not poor. That's right, I know a lot of people there.
All right.
So I'm just
Thanks,
gonna say.
Randy. Who's next?
L. Fleener.
Valley. Said. Your water bottle Butler. I
I'm
was
sorry?
looking at, is it Butler?
This one?
Oh, I thought it was a Butler water bottle.
No.
I think a little higher up in
Well, there we go.
So first things I just want to say is we organized a petition, and we emailed that spreadsheet to Missy. I know she's not here, so if you guys wanted to see it, let me know a different email and I can send that to you. On that petition, as of 5:03 p.m. today, we had 156 signatures opposing the rezone. And so this was signed by my Leota neighbors, other community residents in Scott County, and a hefty amount of farmers, 4-H'ers, FFA members. And these are people that are working to preserve Scott County that you and I grew up in. We know about Scott County, and the ones who are working to preserve our farmland and save our wildlife and just help keep our community and safe. And, Indiana's losing farmland at such a rapid rate. I know that that's not the Scott County I grew up in to contribute to that. The Scott County I know and love would not, and anybody in here that claims to be a farmer or a farm kid, anybody that would identify as a farm kid would not be in favor for this and would not be doing this because we know what it is to go out there and work. We know how hard this is and how valuable this is for our community and our country. Are we going to contribute to this alone in Scott County in Indiana? Another question that I have, and I don't expect an answer, I didn't expect an answer even before the first question was asked, but just human to human, one of my questions is, just to think about it, when one day you get where you're going and you face Jesus, how will you explain to him that you chose greed over greed and your own personal benefit over the ability to work towards protecting his land? You know, you guys were voted in here, and we're all here for a why, and you have that ability. You talk about it's going to go beyond, it can be this, but here and now you have a choice. And what are you choosing? And so that's just some food for thought and what role you're playing. And another thing to think about is your why. Like, I know why my neighbors are here. I know why I'm here. And I'm assuming you guys are here because you had such a blessed opportunity to lead our community, and people believed in you to be a leader. And that might be your why. Another why I have is if you've created 24 subdivisions, why are you doing another one? And I can't assume that, but that's something you need to think about, is your why. And then another question that my mom couldn't be here right now, but she wanted me to ask, and you can tell me if you can't answer this, I just wanted to speak for her, is can Dave Church even petition for this now that he doesn't own the whole parcel? He sold off 12 or so acres. So you guys can answer that later if you have an opportunity, but I just wanted to speak for her because she had to work late tonight. But thank you all so much for the opportunity to let your community speak and I call myself a youth, but I'm 23 now, so I guess for the younger adults to come and speak. So thank you.
Thank you.
Beth Slinger, you said she's not coming.
I wrote her down that she's gonna be here late, so I was gonna put her down on the list, but if you guys finish and she's
here. I'm here, and I feel like I can't really ask a lot of questions because I wasn't here, I had to work. Obviously, you're saying that you want only questions. I'm just gonna say a statement. Obviously, we're all.
No, we said we only want to take.
No questions, okay. My statement is that obviously I do not want this. As you can tell, a lot of people do not want this. I don't think our schools can handle this at all. Miami Finley School cannot handle increased population. I don't think our first responders, I don't think our fire department is adequately funded, nor do they have enough volunteers to handle this kind of growth right now. I think there are so many subdivisions and houses going up in this county, which I think at some point it is good to grow. I'm not against growth in the city, within city limits. I'm asking you to stick with the rules, stick with the laws, do not make an exception for this at all. I don't think we're ready. That's all I gotta say.
All right.
Thank
you.
Dustin Jordan.
Hi guys, my name is Dustin Jordan. I'm opposed to this rezone. I am the Assistant Chief of Finley Township Fire Department, and I've been a member there for 3 years now. Just want to say that as a firefighting standpoint and the fire department standpoint, Finley Township is the poorest fire department in Scott County and probably one of the poorest in the state. We operate off $11,000 a year at Austin. With this proposal that could very well be, we're not, and it's not our fault, but we're not adequately ready for this growth. In the township of Finley, we have 4 fire hydrants in the whole township. And because of that, some of our ISO is the lowest rating the highest rating that it can be as far as property taxes for owners, because we can't lower it any. When you do an ISO audit, you get points for everything as far as trucks, equipment you have. 3/4 of the percentage of points, and I might be off a percentage, but it's pretty close to 3/4, is based off your water supply. And we don't have that. We have inadequate water supply in Finley Township. We do not offer first responder medical services, and we are just now getting into extrication services, which is happen to be helped out by other departments. So with a large growth like this, we're going to be putting more stress on not only our fire department, but the departments in our area that help us out, that will not make any profit off of anything. Not that we do it for profit, but if you bill for an insurance call for a house fire, they're coming to help you for free for nothing, and it's going to keep increasing. Our roads are very narrow, very narrow. I mean, you drive a fire truck down some of our roads and you can barely pass a car. Some places you have to wait. Bridges are narrow. I just want to throw that out there. Our fire department is working every day to get better, to help support our township and our public, but we are not ready for this growth. I thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Carol Samlin or Sam?
Yeah, I had a question for the attorney here. He was talking about the rules for, they have to follow the rules for subdivisions. Well, my understanding that subdivisions have to have roads that are 18 feet wide. And like everybody said, they're not 18 feet wide, and we have a lot of bridges out there that are one-lane bridge. So if all these properties come in, then you're saying the roads come from our gas taxes. Okay, what about the bridges? Who's gonna build the bridges? That come from the gas taxes too?
Yes.
Okay, and then what if the water runs on Billy's property? How's he gonna get money out of this?
Yeah, that's a whole
Um,
that's a whole separate situation.
Well, we'll tell you this, and there are steps for Mr. Church. If this was approved tonight, there's steps that he would have to come back and ask for the other requests for what he's gonna do. At that point, one of the steps he would have to do is go to the drainage board and get the drainage board's approval to do anything. And there's more steps than just us. I mean, even if we passed it, drainage board could turn him down. The state could turn him down, the Homeland Security. I mean, there's other people there's a process that in this whole process, I guess.
He
There's
doesn't
steps
seem
in
to have
this whole
any
process.
trouble in the county of getting things approved. So, you know,
I don't know that Mr. Church I'm not defending, but I don't know that Mr. Church came in here and started any other subdivision in Scott County. I mean,
well, like Ellie was saying, you know, Mr. Smith was saying, they're wanting to build down there. They're wanting to build on Main Street, I heard. They've got houses at Moonglow, and there's subdivisions going up everywhere. Who's
Behind
gonna
John
live?
Jones.
Yeah, behind John Jones on Bowman
Lover's
Road.
Lane.
So who's gonna buy all these places? Where are they coming from?
I can't answer that, so. I know developers are coming to Scott County. I mean,
It's like we're a hot item here.
well, no, we're not a hot item here. What we are is the next city on the up 65, and we live on the 65 corridor, and there's a lot of industry, and there's a lot of businesses, and there's a lot of families that are looking to, some of them want to move out of the, Metro Louisville area. I mean, we are technically Metro Louisville. I mean, but people are wanting to move. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when, people left Louisville because of busing. I mean, so we gained families in that area. I mean, so if we were Madison and we weren't on a 65 corridor, they're not going. I mean, there's places going to Madison, but those are they're kind of blocked over there in their transportation out of there. So we're not. I mean, we're sitting right on one of the busiest highways in the United States. So I don't know if that answered your question or your statement, or who's up next?
Matt Phillips.
Mr. Phillips?
I just signed because I thought it was a signing in, but I. Is it Brian?
Yeah.
I think that was outstanding along with Bill. So what I would do is I would take that paper you wrote and make sure that you all review it, because I thought it was excellent. Because it really showed the difference between development and agriculture and scenic, which it seems like is put through those pages and all 5 parts of that plan that you're trying to deal with the balance. So I would definitely take what he wrote down and take a real hard look at it. Now, I don't know about, when I learned a major in economics is figures don't lie, but blank, figure. You guys all know what I'm talking about. So when data was presented about the agricultural things, I think that was kind of interesting, because did they take CRP into that account? Did they take other things into account? So if you're going to make a decision on data that they provide, I would double check that. Because I have 60 acres. I know at least 15 is being exactly agriculture, and I have almost 25 or 30 in CRP. And I'm not even less than a half a mile. So, I would just take a hard look at that balance that man provided when you make that decision, because it looks like that your 5-stage plan is trying to balance all that in. And you have an entire community here that lives out there. They're saying, we don't want it. We don't need it. And so, you know, you represent us too, and you have to deal with the law, but you have to also deal with the plan that you wrote. So I would take on the judge, because I think you have enough in that plan to deny it. Thank you for your time.
If no one else signed up, anybody want to speak for or against that did not sign up?
I just have a question. I didn't sign up because I don't live out there, but I do live in Scottsdale. The one question that came to my mind, it came after Randy asked the question about how the land would be sold. And I would like to propose the question to the man who was wanting to buy this. Could you tell us the average number of times you sell a partial land on contract, repossess it, and sell it again? And is this just a spot for you to keep turning over finance? I'm lost.
It's a question I didn't put my hearing aids in tonight, so I don't
She
hear
was
the
she was asking the question, she was asking the question, if you sold property on contract, how many defaulted on the contract and you sold it again? I mean,
there was one family out on Getty Road all these years that didn't continue making the payments. They got divorced. The family wouldn't communicate from one husband to the wife. The whole family was disoriented. Took the property back.
okay.
And that's the only one since 1980.
Okay.
I speak.
Go ahead.
So I wasn't on, I didn't sign up because I'm a horrible speaker. I'm in school and you'd think I'd be better, but I'm not right now. My name's Marissa. I live right in front of where Mr. Church has sold the 2 acres and they're building. It's been a numerous issue with the semis coming in and bringing things in, which it's not their fault. The road's just small. They can't help it. But it has been an issue lately with them having to get into our grass a little bit just to be able to get the forklift to get brakes off the semi and things like that. So, you know, I'm worried. I'm like, if that guy tips over, is it my job to go out there and help him if he's stuck under the forklift because the road's not wide enough? So he's driving up to a little forklift doing donuts, as you know, my neighbors have seen, trying to get things off of the truck, and that's not fair to him. Another thing is, Miss Geraldine back there, I've worked with her for years, and I can say she's amazing. My mother-in-law fell down the stairs a few years ago, and we had called 911 because she had fell down our stairs 14 steps and started seizing. EMS, they are amazing. I'll tell you, our EMS, we couldn't get better. But it took them a little bit to get there, and thank God for Geraldine and them that did get there. But until they got there, I had to hold her pulse. They went to the wrong house 3 times. No fault of their own. There's a lot of houses already out there. This was before a subdivision was even thought about. Keep in mind, they went to the wrong house 3 times. I'm standing over my mother-in-law, holding her pulse. I mean, I'm running down the driveway. So just keep that in mind when we build these more houses. It's already confusing when you pull out there. You're going to the wrong house, and it's a medical emergency. Thank God I'm in healthcare. Our first responders, I tell you, our EMS and our first responders, I'm so thankful. So just, please, you know, I'm all against it. I'm for growth in Scott County. I am. I love Scott County. Been here my whole life. Not in Scottsburg. I did grow up in Austin, but it's a lot to think about. And, you know, we appreciate you all letting us speak. So thank you.
I'd like to just feed off of kind of what Matt said here about the numbers that were provided about the land and what's farm and what's not. You know, I think he said 69% is residential. But if you go less than 200 yards north, you run into Billy's farm. Billy, how many acres do you have there in your cow field? Billy?
I'm sorry, I don't have my hearing aids in.
Good night to you. But how many acres is your cow field and the land that Michael lives on, that whole farm?
80.
80. And then what do you think Steve Brody's is just south of where they're looking to build?
About the same.
Okay, so I mean, I think those numbers are kind of pick and choose, and so let's say 69% is residential, 30% is farm. That 30% is the farm that he's looking to build on. So you're going to wipe out the 30% that he wants to claim as farm.
What's your name, sir?
Drew McGill. And I'm against it.
Anything else? Anybody else want to say
Anybody else
something?
want to speak, Mr. Kraft?
I've always
Want to try to answer
always
any
been told I don't
concern?
give people enough time to talk.
I just would like to confirm something that Mr. Church said, the housing that we're trying to, the requirements you have is like 1,200 square feet. that correct? Well, I think the majority of the homes in that area are way bigger than 1,200 square feet. And so, if you're planning on putting houses there that 1,200 square feet, they're not going to fit in our community very well. And I don't think a 1,200 foot square house would cost $300,000-$500,000.
You always put minimums on because you don't want, not to
Well, I
offend
think your
anybody,
minimum should be
you
a
don't
whole
want
lot higher
modulars,
for
you
that
don't
area.
want trailers, and et cetera. So you, all developers usually put a minimum on to protect, and that is to protect. And I mentioned before that I think one of the most neatest, beautiful little houses is the yellow house right next to mine. And it's right there on the west, and that's only, according to the record, that's only 900 square feet. So,
All right, so does anybody else have comments? If not,
yeah.
then we're gonna close the.
Well, I think, yeah, we're gonna close the public hearing, but Mr. Kraft, if you want.
Yeah, I'll be very brief. I think one of the items that I've heard throughout this is, we want to protect the farmland. Part of what's happening, and again, I've done this almost 42 years, and I've seen it, and this is the type of work I do, and I do it in all of southern Indiana. Part of what's happening is many of the farmers that have property, either by their heirs or otherwise, can't make it in farming anymore. So they are selling property off for purposes of development. And Mr. Jones said it earlier, and ultimately it's a matter of dealing with the issue of telling somebody what they can do with their property. And if somebody wants to sell it in a development stage, then they certainly have that right to do. And Ms. Fleener, Beth Fleener said she didn't want you guys to make an exception for this development. We're not asking for any exception. We are merely asking for a change of zoning. The items that we use, the 29 properties that we use, were properties in the necessary proximity under the terms of the zoning ordinance with regards to that in order to come to those numbers, as to who you have to give notice to, what has to be sent out, what has to be addressed. That's where those came from. And then likewise, Mr. Harris, I thought you did a great job on the comp plan. And as I indicated, and he did as well, the comp plan is there as a guideline. And it's kind of like, and you'll appreciate this, I'm not trying to be a comedian, but many times people tell lawyers they can talk out of both sides of their mouth. And part of the reason that sometimes is said, it depends upon what you look at. Mr. Harris went through the comp plan, did a very good job with it. I can go through the comp plan and tell you everything that supports why this is there. But it's merely the guidelines that the commissioners have to follow. It's not telling them this is the law. Look at all of these guidelines, all of these objectives, all of these strategies and goals in order to make that determination. And we believe we have met those necessary elements under Indiana Code 3674603. And keep in mind, tonight there was some discussion about size of houses. Tonight this isn't about a subdivision. This is merely about land use and land use only. As Mr. Jones indicated, if it would be approved, any subdivision that would come back has to come before the Plan Commission and has to meet all of the necessary elements of the subdivision control ordinance. That's a different day, a different issue, a different decision to be made. Tonight is merely land use, and we're asking for the change of zone. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
No, I just tell you that, just restate again, the 5 factors that you are to consider by statutes. And then ultimately this came from the Plan Commission with no favorable or unfavorable recommendation. Make sure that you make your decision based on, and actually I think that there were some written letters that were submitted.
I think that might have been.
That may have been at the Planning Commission. Well, then I would just, again, advise you to make your decision based on those factors and based on what was presented tonight.
Okay, all right, it's back to us. So Randy, you got any comments or statements you want to make?
Yeah. So I'm not gonna make a very many people happy here tonight. And I want you to know that, we all have our thoughts and what is right and what is wrong. I understand, and it's a beautiful thought that we got to quit killing farmland. I get it. And I mean no disrespect to anybody when I say that, but when the land comes up for sale, if we don't want to be anything but farmland, then the farmers or somebody who's going to build a farm needs to purchase it. There's two truths in life. One, you can't pick your neighbors, and you cannot pick your family. And unfortunately, that's just the way things are. A couple houses down from me, I've got somebody who is obviously, into drugs. And they get busted all the time. Do I like that? No. But that person has to live somewhere too. And while we say everybody lives out in this area and we don't want this subdivision, well, I would almost have to ask anybody to raise their hand who hasn't had a house that it was not either built on farm ground or a woodlot. Each is equal. Right? How many trees did we kill to just put a house in a spot? When somebody purchases land, if we get to the point where we tell them what they can do on that land after they purchased it, that ain't much like America to me. So,
can I say something? I wasn't going to, but, and it's personal for me, because I'm upset on this, because I know y'all are going to vote yes tonight.
well, man, you don't know what anybody. I'm probably going to vote yes.
Well,
But
the thing is, my husband and I lived in town for years. I grew up in the country. My dad was a fisherman. He died when he was 37 years old. My brother Mike Rich, you probably know him. Randy Rich, Donald Rich, those are my brothers. And we grew up in the country. We were poor. He worked hard at Fuel Monument for years. He fished, he hunted. And we had 20 acres out there. Well, my husband and I lived in town for probably, 14 years? And then crowd, house over house over. Constantly had stuff stolen out of the market. We worked 14 years to save money to get in the country, to have this peaceful life out there. Well, if you see my house, we bought it from Charlie Mayer. He built the big house right beside us. The house that's going in is right across the driveway, right across from my driveway. And we have trees where they were replanted. How many trees we have on our property in the front yard? Probably 15, 20 trees. So, tree comes down, we put another one up. We want to preserve that, and I just want you to consider all this, because we're not rich by no means. I don't ever look to be rich, but I pay my bills, I work hard, so does my husband.
well,
And
I don't want to upset you,
well, I'm upset.
but I understand.
And I am.
But do you have what all do you have on your piece of property? Do you have a driveway?
I have a driveway.
Okay, and you're talking about your trees. What if we come in and said you can't build your trees, can't plant your trees because they're too close to the road, and when they fall, they're going to hit somebody? You wouldn't like that.
No, I wouldn't.
Because it's your property that you bought.
And we're not opposed to.
And that's the only point I'm trying to make.
20, 30, or 50 houses,
I mean, as long as somebody has land and they want to sell it, somebody's going to come by with money and they're going to purchase.
The community, we're going to end up.
That's the way
so we can be further
America
away from all that. But that's not the lifestyle we choose.
So I have one quick question then. So
No,
what criteria would you use to make the decision?
There's a statute.
What criteria would
It
you
is the
use?
exact statute that has been recited like 4 times.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
That's my
So
point.
how many things?
Hang on, man. Everybody's had an opportunity to speak.
Again, I gave everybody the opportunity to sign up, to speak, close the public hearing.
Do what?
Greg, do you have anything that you want?
Greg, you got anything to say? I know you're probably away. Well,
I'm gonna say this, as Commissioner for District 3, this is a lot of District 3. This is a good portion of it. And I'm proud to be your commissioner for District 3. I'm gonna say this also. So out there, that area is very unique in Scott County. I know we come in here, you know, there's other areas that we talk about and this and that, but I personally feel that this area, especially in District 3, is very unique because of the ag setting that we have up there, right? I feel like it's my duty to protect your investment that you've made out there. Just like the lady just mentioned here. They moved up there for that investment, for that peacefulness that, and the serenity that that area has to offer. That's my goal. My goal here tonight is to protect that area. With the comprehensive plan that's been put in place, those are guidelines. I'll be honest, there's some of it I agree with and some I don't, okay? But having said that, I do have infrastructure concerns that was brought up back here, and those would have to be addressed at some point. With growth, there comes a lot of opportunity, but also comes with a lot of expense. And then, so we have to be, ready for to take on those expenses. I'm not sure that we can do that this time either. So that's kind of where I'm at. Also, it also makes it very difficult when area plan does not have a favorable or non-favorable recommendation. And so that does put a little bit more weight on us as commissioners. Kind of like the processes we're talking about. You know, there was a process that didn't meet. There's a process here. It may not meet, and it will move on potentially. I don't know. But I also appreciate Mr. Church and his investment in Scott County and wanting to do things here. So while I do feel like that we have to grow, I am very particular with the Leota area and its unique ag setting out there, and the investments that folks have already made out there, and wanting to keep that serenity and peacefulness that they have out there. So that's how I see this tonight. So, and forgive me, I'm a little bit down tonight, but I'm doing my best.
By the way, you just had shoulder surgery, so I mean, it's
on Monday. Yeah.
So anyway, well, I appreciate both these guys' input. I think you heard in the area planning meeting what my thoughts on this. Being on the area plan for 8 years, I've turned down things that wasn't very pleasing to some people. Probably passed some things that probably wasn't pleasing to some people. But my vision of Scott County, and I've lived here since 1959, has always been, because of that interstate out there, is growth for Scottsburg, Austin areas. And I understand this area is out in more of a country rural area than right here next to the interstate. But also, as I said earlier about the busing thing, I had high school friends of mine that came from Louisville that the only reason they came here was because of the busing, but wasn't really the only reason, because their parents graduated from here and they moved to Louisville and they had jobs and businesses in Louisville, and they came here to get away from that. And they didn't live in the country when they came here. They came and lived right here in the city. But people come for different reasons, and I want to see good people come to Scott County. I mean, we don't always have to have, the riffraff that shows up because they got kicked out of the last county. We, as people here, may or may not know, there is a housing crisis in the United States. I mean, you think that there's a bunch of houses for everybody that lives here, but there's not houses for people. I mean, and that's troubling, but I also understand the thought of build around the cities. And most of the time that happens because of the infrastructure, the city water, city sewers, city utilities. Moving out, and I live 6 miles out of town here, but some people and developers especially come for the infrastructure. They come because they know that there's water, there's sewer, there's high pressure gas here. Speaking with developers that have spoken to me as a commissioner, trying to bring bigger businesses to Scott County, that's what they look at. And when people say, well, you know, why are they coming here? Well, 65 corridor. I mean, why do you think Amazon went to 62 over there? Because it's closest to the interstate and people. You know, so with that, I mean, I want to see Scott County develop. I want to see business come here for people's jobs. I know a lot of people here probably, I mean, if I said, hey, raise your hand if you work in Scott County, I don't know how many's going to raise their hand. But a lot of people don't work here. I mean, people used to look at, again, well, I'm old, but I mean, never in my life. And when I graduated high school, you couldn't get a job. You could, in 1977, you couldn't get a job in Scott County, in Indiana, or any place. And people left here to go to Texas to get jobs because that's where it was booming. Never in my life did I ever see a factory ever put a billboard up begging people to come to work. I mean, never in my life have I ever seen that. And I know people that are managers in some of the local factories in Seymour and Crowsville. They're still begging people to come to work. I mean, and I don't know what the solution there is, but when people look and go, well, why aren't you bringing more business to the businesses we have here, the factories we have here? They want to expand. They have came to us and asked for expansions, but they don't have the manpower to build the factories onto their factories because no one wants to work those jobs. Had a meeting, Greg and I had a meeting with John Morgan. He's guaranteed that his family business up there will stay a family business for the next 100 years. I mean, and he doesn't know what's going to happen after that 100 years, but that's 200 years of one family, you know, supporting his community like no one else. I mean, so when we talk about bringing new development in here and developers like Mr. Church and others, it's not a taint on what we have. I mean, but I also understand, you know, I live on 2 acres and around my house, and yeah, I can walk to the mailbox and I can do whatever. And sometimes I see my neighbors and sometimes I don't. But I understand other people living out in a community where they want that same privacy. They want that same, hey, I'm gonna stand outside and scream as loud as I can and my neighbor's not gonna call the police. I mean, but there was a hard decision we made a couple of years ago. And my only thought was, in my drive for any of these meetings is, does it fit the area? And that's where my vote's going to be tonight, is when I think about this development. And just because it's development, I don't know how many homes could be built there, several, but it still could be houses there. So with that, I'm going to,
I have an ordinance for approving certain property, rezoning a certain property.
all right, how this works is we have to pass an ordinance.
I don't know what our ordinance number is. Again.
But how we do this is we have to talk about an ordinance.
It outlines the statutory factors that Mr. Kraft outlined at the beginning of the meeting and what you're to consider. It outlines the findings that were made by the Planning Commission, and it goes over basically what your all's findings are today. And there are locations for each of you to sign either for or against those particular findings. And I would ask that you do a roll call vote for the whichever way you're going to vote for.
Okay, what's the ordinance number?
Let's say 4. I think, but did we do 4 last time?
I thought we did.
I think so. I'm thinking 5.
All right, I'm gonna read this. I don't like reading these because I usually get tongue tied, but here we go. Ordinance number 2024 OR 5 approving rezoning certain property, whereas pursuant to IC Code 5-22-2-13, the Scott County is a governmental body, and under IC Code 36-2-2-2, the Board of Commissioners is the county executive for Scott County exercise legislative and executive powers provided by the statute. Whereas pursuant to IC Code 36-7-4-600 ET sequence 600 series, the Scott County Board of Commissioners is the legislative body for the purpose of establishing zoning amendments and zone map changes. Whereas the Scott County Commission, after due diligence of public hearings, has considered a proposal request to rezone certain property within the county under the procedures established pursuant to Ordinance 2011-8, herein zoning ordinance of Scott County. Whereas in preparing and considering proposals, the Plan Commission and a legislative body shall pay reasonable regard to the following matters in accordance to the state law: A, comprehensive plan; B, current conditions of character, current structures and uses in each district; C, the most desirable for which the land is each district is adapted; D, the conservation of property values throughout the jurisdiction; and E, the responsible development and growth. Whereas the Plan Commission has certified proposal to the legislative body in accordance with the law and local ordinance, and no recommendation, neither favorable nor unfavorable. And whereas the legislative body, having received the proposal and recommendations, scheduled the matter for public hearing on December the 18th, 2024 at 5 p.m. The next regular meeting of the Scott County Board of Commissioners. Following the receipt of certification from the Planning Commission, and whereas the legislative body held a public hearing, considered written submissions, and heard from the petitioner in written and oral form. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Commissioners of Scott County, Indiana, that the legislative body makes the following findings regarding the case of number RZ-01-24 for rezoning of a certain property. Petition and record from the Planning Commission is hereby attached hereto and incorporated by the reference of Exhibit A. A, the request zoning purposes comprehensive plan. B, the requested zoning is supported and the current conditions of character, current structure and use of the district. The current rezoning is most desirable and for the land within each district is adapted. D, the requested rezoning will conserve property values throughout the jurisdiction. E, the requested rezoning is part of responsible development and growth. Number 2, based upon above described findings, the Scott County Board of Commissioners ordains to rezone the property in accordance with petition from Ag to residential single family R1. The findings are supported by the statements and written submission considered at the public hearing on December 18, 2024, and the findings support the rezoning. This ordinance is effect upon the passage, signing, and recording of the presiding officer and respective executive and fiscal bodies of the county. So with that, we have a vote. Exactly. So anyway, all right, I want him to, because he said we have to do it by roll call. So I guess I'm going, here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to ask for I guess a motion to pass resolution 2024 OR 5.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes a motion to pass resolution 2024 OR 5. Do I have a second? So I hear no seconds. So with that, I'm going to ask for a roll call. So all I guess, Randy, what's your vote? Yes, no? Yes to pass, no to not pass.
I pass it.
So you're voting yes?
Yes.
Greg, what's your vote?
No.
Your vote's no, and my vote is no as well, so. With that, this portion of the meeting is over and we're gonna move on to the rest of our agenda.
Randy? Thank you. Let's go.
I have to say, right, I'll take it. I hope you get.
I'll take it.
But I swear, in the second chart. Yeah.
Give you a hug, but
I'm not gonna thank you for this, but thank you for the service.
Thank you.
How the burns work.
I had sprayed.
Appreciate that. Save me. Hey,
You know, the block is. Yeah. And we were talking. Jerry saw. You're gonna have to get. I'll find out.
Well, I'm not on this side. That's a question for.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, that's what mine was. I'm 23 and I'm just fine.
Sorry. I get
Do you know how many?
I'll be right safe.
Okay.
All right, sorry, I want to say we kind of went offline there for a minute because had about 40 people leave the room. Yep.
I know everybody here is already listened to this enough. So this statement is mostly for people at home. That watches this on YouTube. As more and more developers come into our area, we're going to have more and more people come out and wanting to stop us from building on farm ground. And I know most of you guys have heard that what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So I guess where I'm going with that is I don't much care that people come in, and I understand they have a right to, but I don't care a whole lot for people come in and ask me to not let somebody else build a house on property that they bought. And before you do in the future, because I know it's going to happen, I think everybody needs to stop and think, what if we made it to where you couldn't sell your house but for the farm ground price? You probably wouldn't like that much. And it's the exact opposite. If somebody has property and they can get more out of it, selling it off, trying to develop it, that person has that right. You wouldn't like me to say that you couldn't sell your house. No matter if you got a $400,000 house, you have to sell it for $10,000 an acre, and that's all you're going to get out of it. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. And like I said, I know we're going to keep coming up with more and more of this, especially if our plan doesn't decide that they want to speak out. But,
And I'll say this, Randy, I mean, it's a good thing that it is a nice luxury to have that we do get to vote on. You know, I mean, it would be, I think it would be very detrimental if we didn't have, folks wanting to invest and do things, so.
absolutely. I mean,
I agree with you.
Well, the only thing I'm gonna say is that, and I said it at the area plan meeting, is that the avenue of, and I tried to say this to the farmers, is that the avenue that you're trying to obtain is the farmer wants to sell the property to a developer, knowing what he's gonna do with it for an astronomical amount of money. And then you come to the commissioners and ask us to not make it happen. So that's, in my opinion, I told them is none of this three commissioners bought any farm ground. So we didn't reap any kind of money for it, but you want us to stop it after it's already been purchased. And I told them if you want to save farm ground, then there's a couple of ways to do it. Create an LLC and say, we have a farmers group that's gonna buy every farm acre of ground there is. And when that price comes up, pay the price. You know, Mr. Smith over here made a comment, and I've heard it multiple times, and I like Dan Smith, that he had the opportunity to buy the farm right beside him. He didn't. You know, he had every opportunity to buy it multiple times. He didn't buy it. Somebody else bought it and decided they were gonna develop it, and that's not on him. That's on him. He could have bought it, or his family could have bought it. I mean, if he wanted to keep it like he wants it, then he could have. He had every opportunity to do that. But the commissioners aren't buying farm ground and selling it to developers. So you know, so we'll move on. No, Andrew. I know you're going to get on the agenda, but you're going to see my face all night long.
Those reviews are good though.
At the very end.
At the end. And not my end.
All right.
All right, what you got?
I think in your pamphlets, you should have the price of the contract for it. Yeah, the maintenance care. I was tasked to get a software for maintenance for them to do work order systems, kind of like how I do tickets. This software also has an asset tracking side to it, preventative maintenance side to it. The asset system is pretty nice. You put a barcode on any piece of equipment in the county, have your phone. I just worked on that pump, click it, what you did to it. Also, it can real time give you the value of what you're tracking. The software, we demoed it, looks really good. The price for it, we got a promotional price right now. I think it's $2,300 up front for the first year. That is with training and activation. It says 18. So after the training and activation, it's $2,300. Then we go to $2,100 for life.
Is that a year to year?
Year to year for life. The price never increases.
I'm going to ask you a question,
which is unheard of.
Not my question.
Okay.
The question is, you said asset.
Yep.
Jennifer, I don't know if this is something we could do to help our asset reporting, but if we barcode everything, laptops, desktops, monitors, and everything else, can we use that as when somebody goes, hey, we need to see your asset records? And right now we're paying for something that we haven't got yet, but we're having an asset report being made by another company. But if we barcode all those things, and coming from UPS, everything was barcoded, and you just scanned it, and they sent it to Atlanta. But you're saying this software, this program would be able to do that as well?
Correct. Also, my system can do that
with your computers.
Yeah, with the computers and stuff and all that too. So
I'm just saying that'd be a secondary avenue of, hey, how many computers you have, you pull up a report, here they are.
Yeah, you can add
How many cars or
refrigerators, microwaves, anything.
That's
It
where
doesn't
I'm
matter. One of the big things too is the software is unlimited users and unlimited technicians for the price, which a lot of subscription software is price per tech. So you might get that software for $2,300. You add another technician in, they're going to charge you an extra $600. Another tech maybe $550. The price keeps going up per tech. So this is unlimited techs, unlimited users. Then you lock in $2,100 per year per life, which is very. The software has many awards. There's a lot of businesses that use it. It's a pretty good software.
Questions?
Actually, no. I asked Andrew to look up a software program for the maintenance for all of our buildings and our equipment, because as we're growing, with the extra building over here now, and we need a ticket system and make sure that people's complaints and things are being kept up on top of the so on and so forth. So it's
Great. So this has all the reporting capabilities that we need.
A lot of reports. You can do anything from just a spreadsheet report to pie graphs to bar graphs to anything you want.
But yeah, and this is something that we've been needing for a while to, track our assets. And
This would be good to build up, start putting everything in there and keep track of it.
Well, the part that I've tried to get done is that preventive maintenance on some pumps and some other equipments. And are we servicing them before they fail, or are we just waiting for it to quit and then go, oh crap, we never oiled it, we never greased it, we never serviced it.
Yep.
So I think it's a positive thing, and quite honestly, no more than it is. Surely he's got it in his budget.
Yeah.
So
there is one thing I've seen also. So if you say you service a pump, within that asset, you can say, I ordered a $5 bearing for it and replace it at this date, and make a note of that and keep track of prices, what's going in also for them. So.
All right. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the contract with this company, maintenance care.
Randy's made a motion to enter into a maintenance care software agreement. Greg?
I'll say.
Greg seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous. So, maintenance does have it in his budget to pay
I
for
think
it.
the back page is our tax exempt form, but I will get all that information and fill it out in the morning. So,
all right, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
All right, thank you. How you got up there, Kevin? We'll take care of that. Okay.
You need a letter opener.
Oh shit! Hang on a minute. Are you guys?
We
Hang
can
on.
just, let's just do you have the election board attorney contract.
Yeah.
I don't
See,
have
we're
a
here for
contract.
one thing. Just leave them right there. Stay right there.
I learned a lot tonight though, so.
You
All right.
have the election board
No, I
attorney.
don't.
All
You
this
guys have the
is
election
one
board
thing.
attorney.
Sorry, Kevin.
I'm all right.
I know when I saw you grab those.
Your vendor's not good, but I'm good.
I'm sorry. This is a one. I won't make next day. But... All right.
It's just a request for, I believe the board's already approved it. It's a request for the election board to retain counsel for the board. I think previously I have been kind of sitting in as necessary, but I think it's become pretty clear that they need like a dedicated counsel, so to speak. And I believe that the county council has budgeted for the line item, right? So they're
One saying yes, one saying no.
No, I was looking at the county council. We wasn't told we were.
I just wanna make sure that's your all's understanding, that's my understanding of.
Okay. I wonder if everybody's had an opportunity, what it is there's, in the past, there's been some legal things that have happened with the election board that Zach has been nice about. Zach been nice to step in, but they're saying that they need probably an outside counsel just to be on a retainer whenever they have questions and answer some legal advice, so. So, if you guys are fine with that, I mean.
I'll make a motion for that.
Randy makes a motion to enter an agreement with, looks like Alcorn, Sage, Swartz, and McGrath. Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, so.
And that copy's been signed by
I was gonna say
Pat
that,
McGrath.
Pat McGrath.
So,
Can you sign it?
yes. Then we can
Or was it
keep
already
one
there?
copy in the auditor's office, give one copy to the election board.
He signed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, there you go.
Thank you.
Kevin, come back up here.
I think Jennifer will send you.
I'll send a copy.
Sorry, when I saw you got those packets, I'm like, oh my God. And I thought they just have one time.
Do you need a letter opener?
Yeah, if you don't.
Okay.
I come up prepared. I'll dig it right.
You got to set through a big old hearing.
Yeah, it's informative.
And I thought, so this call is Jim.
Yeah.
Pretty good call.
Well, good. That was tough as it. Here, it's fine now.
I ain't got one more.
Oh, I don't want to bit.
Yeah. No, so I can take that over here.
Sure, we can let her over. I'm just gonna, I want to make a copy.
Got it.
Thank you.
Want to knock these asphalt in, I think they're going one bigger.
This one, like I. I'm gonna ask, because these are all going under, we're gonna table them all anyway, but is that what you?
Table them and check them out and
Yep.
ask to approve all bids. That's fine.
Are you looking at hot mix first?
Yeah.
Let me give you some room on that. I'm keeping my order here.
A lot of hungry contractors, that's what we want. Lots of envelope.
So this, maybe 200 here.
Nope.
And then
Rock three.
looks like we have 4 bidders for hot mix.
Yep, that's all the hot mixes.
All right, I'll go ahead and read these off.
I'll give you asphalt materials, that they're in-law things. Thank you. Our product.
Drop dead price. Oh, I guess it's price for the time. Okay. All right, for the hot mix for calendar year 2025, and we're gonna table these as soon as we read them so that Kevin can go through and make sure that they're apples and oranges and everything is based off the same quotes. So the first one here is for E&B paving. It looks like base per ton is $46 per ton. Intermediate type B is 48 per ton, and surface type is 55 per ton. So that will be E and B. And the second one looks like it is Dave O'Meara, I'm sorry. Type A, 5950, type B, 5950, binder, 5550, and base is 5450. It is Dave O'Meara.
Mike, what was the binder number again?
5550. 5550. Next one is Temple and Temple. Surface is, well, it looks like they've got two different numbers here because they have delivery to paver and one is FOB. So I'm gonna read them both. So the surface is $72 and FOB is 65. Intermediate is 71. FOB is 64. Base is 69 and FOB is 62, and that's Temple and Temple. And that's for hot mix. The next one is Mac Construction. And we're talking about type A surface, $47. Type B is $51. HMA binder is $47. And base is $44. And then they have a cold mix, performance cold mix price of $140 per ton. That's $140 per ton. So the next one is
Asphalt material.
Asphalt material, yeah.
And that's just emulsions and that's by the gallon price.
Okay, this is 80/90 per gallon. Delivered is $2.64 and picked up at the plant is $2.50. And then an RPE unit price delivered is $4.18 and unit price picked up at the plant is $4.10.
There should be a back page, Mike.
I'm sorry.
That's several different emulsions on.
You're right. Asphalt emulsions, AE90. And I'm gonna give you two prices. The first one's gonna be delivered, the second price picked up at the plant. $2.38 and $2.30. HFRS-2 picked up or delivered is $2.38, picked up at the plant, $2.30. AE150, $2.58, delivered, $2.50, picked up. AE300, $2.78, delivered, $2.70, picked up. AE-F is $2.18, delivered, $2.10, picked up. SS-1H is $2.48, delivered, $2.40, picked up. And Pug Mill rental is 40 cents. I don't know what that.
Probably 40 cents per ton.
That's asphalt materials. And this is asphalt material as well.
That's probably just their
That's the
496.
backside.
Yeah. All right, here's the rock quarry.
All right, Heidenberg Materials Midwest. And plant prices for stone looks like is size 11s, $19.15. And dot number 11s is $25.30. Revetment riprap, $16.95. Number 9, $16.90. Number 8, $16.55. Number 5, $16.30. 53s, $12.50. 73s, $12.95. Number 2s, $12.90. Quarry Run Riprap Shop Rock, it says NB. Riprap is NB. Class 2 is NB. Slate, $5.60. Delivery cost to county garage is $5 a ton. And that's it.
These are services.
All right, this is for proposed services. from Earth Solution. Looks like a lowboy truck and trailer, hourly rate. These will all be hourly rates and operator included on, I'll tell you if that's operator included. Lowboy truck and trailer, $160 an hour. Pickup trailer, $105 an hour. And both of those have an operator. Medium size excavator, 34,000 is $175 an hour, and with an operator, excavator 34,000 to 500,000 is $190, and that doesn't include an operator. Skid steer is $125 and includes an operator. Tandem or larger is $115 an hour and includes an operator. Small dozer, $175 an hour, no operator. Large dozer, $260 an hour and includes an operator. Power boom, $125, includes a operator. All these numbers here that I'm getting ready to read, none of them include an operator. Concrete vibrator, $18 an hour. Concrete vibrating screen, $26 an hour. Electric welder, $50 an hour. Torch set, $22 an hour. Air compressor, $58 an hour. Air hammer and drill, $22 an hour. Electric hammers, and drills, $15 an hour. Electric generator, $29 an hour. Water pump, 4-inch, $50 an hour. Water pump 2-inch, $35 an hour. Foreman, $76 an hour. Operator, $70 an hour. Labor skilled, $65 an hour. Labor unskilled, $45 an hour. A little bit smaller. I'm sorry about that one. All right. Looks like a lowboy trailer. Again, this is a repeat of.
I think one of them likes is for clarification, like large culvert, and then the other one would be like asphalt.
This is paving operations and small culvert operations.
Same
So,
equipment, different.
looks like single. The only thing here is a single axle dump truck. $90 an hour and with an operator. Tandem axle, $115 an hour with an operator. Small hand tools, shovels, rakes, whatever, $5 an hour. Construction layout equipment, $22 an hour. Smooth wheel roller, $115 an hour. Sheep's foot roller, $175 an hour. And power boom, $145 an hour. I think everything else is equal. And that was our solution. This is 2025 KBL. Yeah, KBL excavating. Lowboy trailer, $135 an hour, and with a 4-hour minimum on a operator. Pickup and the trailer, $45 an hour. 4-hour minimum with an operator. Pickup, $40 an hour with 4-hour minimum with an operator. Mini excavator, $12,000 or less, $135 with a 4-hour minimum, and with an operator. Medium size excavator, $34,000, $140 an hour with a 4-hour minimum with an operator. Skid steer, $9,000 or less, $120 an hour, 4-hour minimum with an operator. Single axle dump truck, $95 an hour with a 4-hour operator. Tandem axle or larger, $115, 4-hour minimum with an operator. Concrete saw, $95, 4-hour with a operator. Air compressor, $30, 4-hour minimum. Electric generator, $20 an hour, 6-hour minimum. Water pump 4-inch, $45, 6-hour minimum. Water pump 2-inch, $20, 6-hour minimum. Power tools, drill saws, etc., $25, $4-hour minimum. Large hand tools, shovels, rakes, etc., $25, 4-hour minimum. Plate compactor, $25, 4-hour minimum. Construction layout equipment, $40, 4-hour minimum. Chainsaw, $25, 4-hour minimum. Hydraulic hammer attachment excavator, $105, 8-hour minimum. Rigging and culvert install, $50, 8-hour minimum. Tractor mower, $140, 4-hour minimum. Tractor with mower, $150, 4-hour minimum. Foreman is $90 an hour, operator is $85 an hour, skilled workers $70 an hour, and unskilled workers $65 an hour. And that was for small culvert replacements. You said some of this is repeat. Let's see if there's anything. Let's see.
Is that small cover, we're talking anything under 19 or 20?
Anything on a bridge, yeah.
Excavator, 35,000 to 50,000 is $180 4-hour minimum. Skid steer is the same. Large dozer, I'm gonna say small dozer is $150 an hour, 4-hour minimum. That's with an operator. Large dozer, $200 an hour, 4 hours minimum with an operator. Power boom, $50 with a 6-hour minimum. Water distributor, $85 with a 4-hour minimum with an operator. 20-ton class, 200. Yeah, I guess these are lifting cranes. $250 an hour with an operator, 8 hours. 50-ton class, $325 with an 8-hour minimum with an operator. 100-ton class, $375 with an 8-hour operator. Pile hammer leads, $2,000 a day. Concrete forms and hardware, $95. 4-hour minimum. Concrete mixer, $100. 6-hour minimum. Concrete vibrator, $15 an hour. 6-hour minimum. Concrete vibrating screen, $100. 6-hour minimum. Electric welder, $60. 6-hour minimum. Torch set, $25. 6-hour minimum. Air compressor, $30. 4-hour minimum. Air hammer and drills, $200 or $20. 6-hour minimum. Electric hammer drills, $35. 4 hours. Electric generator, $20. 6 hours. 4-inch water pump, $45. 6 hours. Water pump 2-inch, $20. 6 hours. Foreman, $90. Operator, $85. Skilled worker, $70. Unskilled worker, $65. And smooth wheel rollers, $100. 4-hour minimum. I think that's it. Got it. What's up?
That's when it's supply, and that's the HDB culvert pipe.
All right, wind supply from Madison, Indiana. Looks like that 100 foot, or is that 100?
The first column by the foot, and the second one's per stick. First one is per stick. You can read it however you want, by the foot or by the stick.
So this is by the foot?
No, it'd be over here. Like that's $1.40, or that's $140.
Okay. All right, so
4-inch, I think, what they started with.
So that's 100 foot. Is that what you're saying? Or it says 100 here.
I think that's just a generic thing they put in there. It'd be a 20-foot stick right there. So it'd be 4-inch double wide highway, solid 20-inch pipe.
All right, I'm going to read this off here too. 4-inch D-wall highway, STIB, solid 20 foot, looks like $140. 6-inch, same description, $236 or $263, sorry. 8-inch D-wall highway, solid 20 foot is $507. 10 foot or 10-inch D-wall 20 foot is $669. 12-inch 20 foot is $736. 15-inch solid 12 or 20 foot is $1,034. 18 20 foot is $1,339. 24-inch 20 foot is $2,218. 30-inch 20 foot $3,342. 36-inch 20 foot $4,097. 42-inch 20 foot $5,710. 48-inch 20 foot $6,933. 60-inch 20 foot $11,328. And 200, I don't know what this is, WTK 2.5 times 432 foot woven fabric is $300. And I think that's it. All right. Don't tell.
I think that we done that last time. I think we just need a copy of that at the auditor's office. And then if anybody comes with their questions, they can have it, because that was that days.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna go through all that.
All right, what we normally do on this, as I said before we start opening them up, is that Kevin, we table them tonight, take them under advisement. Kevin goes back and looks at all of them, make sure they're equal bidding and everybody's bid correctly. So I'll entertain a motion to table that until the next meeting.
I'll make that motion to table.
Randy makes a motion to table the materials for the highway department. Greg? Greg seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, so. That it?
Nope. Okay, the next thing I have is, it's gonna be Scott County commits to our local matching fund equal to 25% of the estimated project cost. The estimated cost of our project applied for projects is $1,875,000. Scott County is committing to our match of $375,000. So the council has appropriated that money in 2025 budget. I'll be applying for the grant in January the 2nd, 2025. So a couple of changes here. Michael is the legal signer. I think I need you guys to vote on a new legal signer. It doesn't have to be a president. It just has to be just has to be a member of the party or member of the board. I need this signed so I can turn it in with the application, and then there will be legal signatures along the way that you'll have to go. NDOT will send you, and you'll have to sign one.
Can we do that this legally?
Huh?
Can we legally do that at this point?
Well, yeah, I'm not the only person who can sign papers. Any commissioner can sign a paper.
I need
I
to.
just was that guy.
I volunteer.
Anyway,
If
yeah.
you're all right with it.
Well, especially for this, I think
I'll
it's a
do
good idea.
Yeah.
I'll entertain a motion to allow Randy to sign any future papers right now.
I think.
I made the motion, so somebody needs to.
Second.
Frank, Greg seconds it.
I'll make it for them.
Oh, okay, there you go. Sign the paper.
Okay. The next thing is, and I brought this once, and we just I kind of pushed it to the side, and now it's resurfaced, and I think it needs to be looked at. So, our road inventory list is not good, and that's going to affect our grant work in a lot of ways leading into the future, because that all has to be correct and match NDOT's paperwork. So, USI gave us a not to exceed bid of $12,000 to do an audit and an update on our road inventory. So motor vehicle highway funds. So all these roads is what we get our funding off of. So them being correct is pretty major. And it's $12,000. What I'd like to do with this, if you all would agree to that, I'll take this to the, we can pay this out of our next year's budget MVH fund that we currently have budgeted. I'll probably take it to the council, explain it for what it is, and if they want to give additional for it, just so we can continue with what we have planned, fine. If not, I think this would greatly benefit us in the future.
So is that roadways that, like the roadway I live on, I had to go back and research it in the minutes.
Yeah.
So the commissioner's minutes to determine that
Your
was
road,
taken in.
your road has not been recognized for the MVH fund since the day Wendy Shores. Wendy Shores been put in. So, there's several roads, Mount Point, Pigeon Court, so we're missing a lot of money right there. Plus, they're not eligible for grant work if they're not recognized into the state system. And
That's the big part.
yeah, and there's a lot of, it's kind of,
Well, a lot of people
it's a mess. It just needs to be redone, have an audit done on it. And then, I turn that in every year. And we've worked on it, and it's a mess.
Well, there's situations where somebody thinks some people think it's a county road and it's not. Some people think it wasn't a county road or that it's private road and it's not.
Exactly.
So, and just like ours, I mean, the developer that developed Windy Shores, did do that. He did do the due diligence and made sure that it was, up to spec and turned it over. So, I mean, and of course, we did our own legwork to go find that work that actually was done in the commissioner's meeting. In fact, I think in the eighties or maybe even seventies. But I'm not gonna do that for everybody's road, but. So we need a motion to.
Yeah.
What's your guys' thought? I guess is the offset $12,000 is, you know, if we got everything fixed, is it gonna?
I mean, considering the grant road, we only pay 25%. So yeah, I mean, he gets money back. Just
How many roads would you estimate that's not?
a lot.
20?
Oh yeah.
50?
At least 20, and then a lot of them incorrect. And not updated, and just, it's not good. I don't know. We've worked on it, and it's just, it needs redone. And they've done it, I think, United done Clark County. So it's not like it ain't nothing unheard of. It just needs to be straightened up, especially, and then moving forward, if there is new housing additions or new home, things like that, and you just got to keep up on it. But just, I think it needs, it'll get its money back on MBH fund.
Comment?
So USI's.
They're the ones that gave me, this is their on call, because of what they call it. They were under contract with other projects, and then they gave me this one. You know, there's other ones that are available to do it too, but they're all within, you know, what they are price wise.
Our Title VI report, where are we at?
He just emailed me and Jennifer yesterday, I think. So I'll be honest with you, I glanced at the top of it and didn't read all the way through it.
That's the way I have.
I'll
opened
revisit it. It's not going great. I mean, I need to email him to see if we can get the process going.
Copy me.
Yeah. I think he was asking some questions about it. I mean, I'm going to get him all the answers I can, but we hired a consultant to do the job.
That's
you
right.
know, it's
Yeah.
not like that. I could have done that.
No, I understand that.
Yeah. So yeah.
What's your thoughts, Randy? All right, I'll entertain a motion to allow Kevin to enter into an agreement with USI. I'll make that motion. Randy makes that motion, Greg.
I'll say.
Greg seconds that. I'll make that unanimous. What else you got?
Right now.
All right. We have a unofficial detour request from NDOT, and it all gone on 356, 3.18 miles west of State Road 62.
Well, I'll just say I'll entertain a motion because there's not really anything we can do outside of just acknowledging that they have a detour, and the state will never detour to a county road, even though everybody will go to that county road, so.
Protect us. As the county.
Yeah. I'll entertain a motion to.
Which us?
Yeah. If they take something out, he's worked with them to set that up, so Kevin.
We did get some money back from one time for them tearing up some.
You can say no if they didn't give you a Christmas bonus.
Anyway.
If you say no and they tear something up, you don't have no paperwork.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the Indiana Department of Transportation's unofficial detour for State Road 356, 3.8 miles west of State Road 62. Contract is B43398, and I don't know what DES is, but 219.54. So
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes a motion, Greg seconds that. I'll make that unanimous. So Ron Henry, what else you got?
I'm just going to show you just a quick discussion on maybe, it's part of our CCND.
I don't think that's around. Is that legal?
As long as it's two signs, it'll be good.
Yeah, as long as the signature isn't there, not a requirement that
That's
it's specific.
something I've ever seen.
To make a unique one.
He etched his name. All right.
That's just something you'll probably see in my next meeting. I'm waiting on some budget numbers to come through. What that's called is micro seal. If it's 2 layers on top of a road, it's called micro seal. If it's 1 layer on top of chip seal, it's called cape seal. That's what we're kind of looking at on some of these housing additions where chip seal you don't want to put it in. And this is more of a preservation product. They're doing a lot of cities. So you'll see something.
Sounds
Who's driving that?
Asphalt solution. Asphalt solution.
Where they at?
Up north. They put in on chip seal. Actually, they didn't get the bid, but they put in. They plan on getting it this year, they say. Let's see. Oh, next, just real quick in Greg's area, I had a real estate agent call me. Family Firehouse Road, where if you go down and go across Thomas and it goes down to the bottom grounds, right? So there's somebody who's going to sell their property at the very end of this, like 0.8 of a mile down. So their complaint is that the road's impassable, and that's probably a fair statement.
What road?
Family Firehouse Road, the gravel part.
Where it goes down.
Where it goes down to the bottom of the DNR, and it goes to the low water crossing and all that.
Where we all used to go
So
forward.
it's before the low water?
It's after. It's 7 parcels back from Thomas down the road, down that road. So it's in the very back. I don't know the whole history of that road and why it's like it is, but we have done a little work, but it's thousands to get that road. I don't know.
We've got a bridge up there.
There is a bridge that is still passing and a bridge inspection, but there is a little bridge out there. I don't know.
County road too.
It is. At some point, there was a gate put up, and it wasn't going to be a county road. But as far as the paperwork goes that I got, it's a county road.
So what are they asking for? They were asking for us to put rock on that road and
widen it.
No, well, not widening it.
It's wide now.
It's well, like right now, me and Denver. He's like, well, let's go down because take care of our gravel road. So we took off down there. And that F-350 and water was coming to the doors before we got to the creek, or was going to come in the doors before we got to the creek. I don't know. I mean, I can haul slate out there. It's not where I think we ought to put our money, but are we obligated where there's private landowners all the way back there? That might be a decision that has to be talked about. I don't know.
The last time I had to go back there to get
there's no houses.
Yeah.
The last time I had to go back there to get somebody out that thought it was a good idea to go back there, I ended up walking water to my knees for a while. I walked across that dam there, and nobody should be back there.
Yeah.
I know Jerry's guys had 3 cars out there, and they finally stopped because you couldn't go any farther.
Right.
And I'm not talking about,
it's deep as
I'm talking deep.
So
So my suggestion is,
I don't know
if that landowner wants to say something, they need to come in and say it.
As far as
That's right.
I think DNR, they don't, from my understanding, they don't. I mean, they'll run a dozer down once a year or something down the lane.
Let me tell you a story about DNR. DNR wants it just like it is because they tell
Well, I
us
think
it's
so
the best-
too.
It's the best duck hunting they'll ever find, and that's what they tell you.
Well, I tell you what, I brought it to the table. I'll estimate a price of what it would take to fill those holes in, and I don't know.
But wait a minute. So a person has property, they want to sell it, and the person who is talking to you
Is real estate.
is a real estate agent.
Yes.
We're not there.
I don't know. I'm just telling you. She said she couldn't get back there.
I wouldn't waste my
see
time.
that, 'cause I couldn't get back there either.
In my opinion, I would not waste my time in trying to put pen to paper on what that's going to cost.
I wouldn't either.
Because that's somebody wanting the county to spend more money to help their bottom line.
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen is DNR is going to buy it, so it's just you might as well.
Well,
put it in.
that would be the best case scenario for everybody, I would say. But I mean, I don't. Yeah.
And DNR they don't want to fix the road because it's unpassable now, so they don't want anybody back there. So.
Well, I've brought it to your attention, so
Yeah.
we'll go from there.
All right.
The next quick thing, I think if you're on agreement, I want to get some quotes. Signs are killing us already, and so we're regulated by the federal highway now for some of these bridge signs and the bridge inspection. we had to replace a bunch that we just paid a fortune for that was shot at like almost $1,000 worth. So anyway, I went to one of our guys used to work for Seymour, so we went up there and looked at their sign room, and I think we're going to have to get into that. So that they just got a vinyl cutter and a roller, and you know, I think probably going to be able to get into it for $5,000-$6,000, and that would cut our cost to 50%. The cost of the signs to 50%.
So are they still on the signs again, or are they shooting them?
Some of them are missing, and a lot of them were just, especially ones out towards the bottom, were just shot up. But those failed. Those have to be there for bridge or failed. The bridge fails. So, plus, that's probably one of our biggest requests. If I printed off a report, is people want road signs, and we can't keep up with the. I mean, we just cleaned out the rest of the budget this year and try to order a bunch of stock, but they'll be gone as fast as we put them up. But if we was to invest into that, we can at least drive the cost down. I mean, the initial cost is going to cost a little bit, but we can drive the cost down.
So the marker for the bridge has to show the tonnage or whatever could allow.
If they're regulated by the federal highway. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know why certain ones are regulated by the federal highway, but they are. And you've probably seen them where it shows you 3 trucks, and that has to be there. And the ones showing that has to be there. But those are the ones that we're putting
Trying to know what stream.
I'm going to throw out a stupid thing here. Does it have to be a certain type of sign?
Well, I mean, MUTC, yeah, there's some regulations.
No, what I'm saying is I mean, we have a company in town that has a monument company that I know where he's thrown, I don't know how many pieces of granite out behind the fairgrounds. And I don't know if it's something, and I know another company down here that has a marble stone. Could we engrave some of this stuff and just, I mean, maybe somebody wouldn't steal something that it's not very decorative, or
I don't know the answer to that. I would say no. I can't say that I've ever seen it, but
it has because I think it has to be
reflected.
Yeah, meet the code in UTC. So I mean, anyway.
And I still go for the battery and some wire on.
I do too. But.
You know, the really sad part about this is we just had a federal aid program that really we just completed a year.
Yeah, we replaced a bunch of.
I mean,
we replaced them all.
Yeah, they're gone. Most of them, a lot of them are gone. But anyway, that's the only way I can drive the cost down, and we could probably provide better public service because we have a lot of requests for those signs, and a lot of them we pushed off to the next year. And I mean, I think if I remember right, the council and the commissioners gave us like $10,000 once to purchase like a whole bunch of signs. I mean, that's just like throwing it out the wind. So.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think we're gonna have to get in the sign business.
Yeah, I think so too.
And look, we're doing more and more out there in different locations that could come in handy and
It can. The only another benefit I've seen is we can probably custom make different signs that we need to. Like, I don't know if you've seen a lot of Jackson County, but they'll have, road floods ahead, ordinance number, blank, blank, blank. If you go through it, different consequences, I think. But,
yeah.
First of all, did you get the other sign on the bridge, Main Street Bridge?
Yeah, we're gonna get it next week. We talked about it.
Sheriff's got a question.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if there's some way that the Scott County Highway Department sometimes turn up and be engraved on the sign, because we've recovered multiple of those signs, but we can't say they belong to the county because sometimes they're sold, sometimes they're not sold, and we turn them back. But it's like, if we don't have any kind of indication that says property of whatever.
Probably the last 6 months, Jerry, we ordered online a little stamp.
Okay.
Scott County seal, and we just smacked it with a hammer.
Okay.
And it leaves one, and then shows Scott County at the bottom.
That's all neat.
But yeah, we do have that. But I mean, there's a lot out there floating around, So
But there's so many you can buy signs now.
you can, yeah. I mean, you could order them, sign that you wanted from all signs and limit them. But yeah, it's hard to prove.
So you have the funds to do this?
Next year we would. probably has the funds to buy the equipment. I would just need to go back and talk to council, the same thing I just talked to you about, and be like, listen, we could buy this and it's gonna be tough this year. We'll probably need some more money to buy the stock, so the vinyl. But then the next year, we ought to be able to actually drive the cost way down, maybe in half. So it pays itself. What little it did go over, it should pay itself back in. I'll get the numbers together. We can look at it. I mean, it kind of is what it is, you know.
That's a good idea.
It's either know or go. So.
I mean, we just spent $30,000-$40,000 federal
Well,
program, and that was a partial of what it is.
We're not, I guess we could go ahead and vote and let him present it to council.
We can, but
Well, I probably need to bring you it's for the money. It's over. I need to bring you the votes.
Well, I mean, you're presenting to the council. We're not telling you yes or no. We're like allowing you to go to the
Yeah,
council. They're
he's,
gonna tell you
he's
yes.
saying that he has to get 3 quotes probably because it's over $50,000.
Well, it won't be over that. It'll be $5,000-$6,000. So I can just
Well,
do
if that's the case, then all you have to do is get
3 estimates.
3 estimates.
I'm just curious. So, you say you went up to see more?
I did, yeah. It's a nice setup.
Yeah. So, some of those signs that don't meet standard regulations, I mean, you just throw them away, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder if we could work with them to get some of those signs that wouldn't, obviously meet state requirements, but may meet our requirements on.
We have probably 6 skids that's a shop piled up back there that they took down for the federal aid that we could relaminate.
That's what
The blanks.
that's where I-
So that'll save us a bunch for a while,
Yeah.
And then we could order the blanks by the pack full. 100, we can order 100 road signs by the pack.
I think
Drop
it's
it down.
a good avenue to look at.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Thanks for looking at that.
The only other thing I got is the CDO training, and I need to try to get a fund established, so any money that it does generate can go inside of that fund.
so you need a line item.
Well, I don't think it's a line item. An actual fund is just like, it would be
Funds bring it in.
the same thing as an auction fund or.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah.
So you need that from us, or is that from a council?
Yeah, the fund should be created through you guys, if I'm correct.
Is that correct?
The fund for,
He's saying that if he has, if he generates any kind of income, does the fund start here? Do we create the fund so he can put money in it, or does it start with the council?
it depends on what kind of, some are commissioners, some are council, so what.
So if we're gonna do some CDO training, so if we do some training for another municipality and they pay us, we need a fund,
I believe that would be a council.
Okay.
And then
I'll go back there.
any of the money that goes into the fund, okay, it doesn't just like auto populate in the fund, or you have to, the money comes in, you have to go to the council to spend any money.
Right. Yep, we just need to, okay, I thought we created the fund here because we created this auction fund here.
But I think the auction fund is
I might be incorrect.
specific to a statutory code that
Okay.
allows the commissioner to create the fund and the council to fund the fund.
Yeah, that's fine. We talked about it last time, so it's no big deal. I'll recircle back around and start there. So,
I sure
thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
You want to? This is about that. That it probably matters.
Oh, yeah, different card, right, yeah.
So would you get a copy of it?
We know what it is, yeah,
Okay.
you guys have created more than that.
Actually,
Apparently, we were supposed to get rid of the sign.
yeah, I remember doing it when the desk was over, the table was over that way, and I'm like, yeah, I think it's a good idea.
It was brought up last year that we were supposed to do it, and we didn't do it.
So, anyway,
Didn't do it on
go
purpose.
ahead on that.
Big mistakes.
All right, well, I guess that is the first thing on here that you're talking about. And let me explain what's going on. We just had a State Board of Accounts audit, and on the exit interview, they talked about a sheriff department debit card that the Board of Commissioners approved on August 19th of 2019. And that debit card was actually approved for you guys to buy commissary goods from Sam's and whatnot. The State Board of Accounts says that we need to rescind that approval, and then they have to go to the county council, and they have to approve the ordinance or the approval for that debit card. It's all under their jurisdiction. So, you know, I mean, it's no different than me going and asking them for the same card, and that's what they're doing anyway. So, so I guess to start
Did they
off.
mention anything to you guys about having a debit card policy for the whole county? Or is that already in place?
Well, we have one, but there's not too many people. I think before I got here, a lot of people had credit cards. Then they kind of stopped it because there's no control over it. So they, I think the auditor has one. Somebody at the highway garage has one. Prosecutor has one, but that's outside of that. I don't think anybody else has a credit card. They've stopped that, but you know, again, I was one that voted for this back in 2019. Thought it was a good idea because you were saving the county money by going and buying your own commissary instead of hiring a company to bring it in and get, you know, you were cutting out the middleman type of thing. So, so they've asked us to rescind that and to let you go to the county council and them issue the card to you and obtain their resolution for that. So I'll entertain if you guys don't have any comment on that. I think everybody's read this from the State Board of Accounts, but I'll entertain a motion to rescind the sheriff's debit card that was issued on August 19, 2019.
Don't have much choice, so I guess I'll make a motion.
Well, you're right, we don't, but, Randy's made a motion, Greg, so Greg seconds that, I'll make that unanimous. So, moving on.
Secondly, I was speaking to Greg today, and I mentioned to him that the grinder pump went out down in the basement. We are continually fighting grinder pumps.
We just did that.
Yeah.
Like a year or so ago,
I
didn't
don't
we?
think it's been that long. I think it was 6-8 months ago.
Was Scotty able to make it today?
Yeah, he came and wired it up to where he's got it temporarily working.
So is the motor or is it the propeller?
I have no idea because I'm not an electrician. I'm not sure. Kevin was made aware of it too, so I think he's going to start helping us out doing that. Whatever you want me to do, if you want to buy like a couple extra, we'll have one on the shelf sitting somewhere.
Aren't those $25,000 a piece?
No, I don't think this is the.
Because I thought the last
there's like 3 or 4. These are the inside pumps, is what they're talking about now.
Okay.
They're the outside pumps, are the ones that.
So the grinder is where if an inmate throws anything down the commode or whatever, it gets ground up before it hits the city sewer. So
and also if that grinder, if it stops, it's sewer water backs up into the building. So.
Yeah, actually, well, have Scotty figure out or have somebody, whether it's Scotty or somebody else, because I think there has to be something wrong.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I mean,
It's constantly, it seems like it's constantly. So.
Yeah, so get some information on that, and I'm going to talk to Scotty tomorrow about something else. So I'll bring that up too. And I know that might be something that we have to get quoted out or whatever, but I'll reach out to him. I know he's been the one that's replaced it a couple of times, but there has to be a reason why it's continued to fail.
Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping what we can do is and I don't know, Indiana, I mean, it's obviously something that let's find out from the State Farm Marshal's office or someone here knows. If we teach Kevin how to do it, or I'd say saying Kevin learns how to do that, or with some of his guys from there on, we just call them to come over and say we need a grinder pump replaced and make it a lot easier and a lot cheaper, hopefully. So,
is the grinder pump easily accessible?
It is. It's in the pit.
Yeah, there's a lid on it.
It's that in that furnace room or whatever you want to call it. It's called a mechanical room or whatever you want to call it. It's down to the so there's and it grinds everything up. It comes out straight out of the cells. It grinds it up and it pushes it up and then out to the outside where then it pushes it again.
Is there room to put a wire in there to go back to so that when it does fail, it allows water to keep flowing around it?
I don't know. I don't know.
Like
I'm
a back
not yeah, that's a good question. I mean, something we've looked into, but I'm not a plumber, so.
Well, there ought to be a valve on it where a flapper valve where it can't flow back.
Yeah. But the only bad thing about that is when it happens, it comes out of the basement.
Randy, you're always wanting to do something.
There you go.
Be my guest.
You're always jumping in.
Be my
volunteered.
guest.
Act against Steve.
All right.
We'll do that then if you're gonna talk to Scotty tomorrow.
I'll call Scotty tomorrow, but I see what he thinks the issue is, because there has to be an issue. I mean, you can't just keep having pumps every 2 years failing, so.
But we're doing okay tonight. right?
Yeah, he come in hot water somehow, like I said. I wish I knew about electricity, you know, and how to wire and do that stuff. I can steer out the bull anytime you want me to, before it's wired up. You know what I'm saying? I'm water pump, I'm in trouble.
Well, I got with Eric and he got Scott.
Cool. Next thing we had is a memorandum of understanding, with the surrounding two counties. One was Clark County, then it was Harrison County. Jennifer, I think, did she?
Yeah, he's gone.
Okay, passed those out. Basically what that is it said when we move prisoners to other locations, we like to have a memorandum of understanding, and of course the other ones do too, that what the protocol is with those prisoners being moved, and if they're keeping them, if there's problems, it kind of sets it's a basic, we've got one of those ourselves, you know what I'm saying, that we keep outside people that we usually have them sign, so unless it's an order by the judge.
So
Sometimes
you're saying that we've never had this before?
we have had. That's the others, we're signing an agreement with Clark County and Harrison County. We didn't have anything for them. We wouldn't do the agreement, see, we're not keeping them. It's like outside, but we've got ours. Like if we keep them, we've already got our agreement. This is from Clark and Harrison. What this is.
We were keeping them for a while from Jefferson County, but
So, does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Whoever's holding the prisoner has to do the one that has to send the MOU.
The only thing I would say related to the MOU is that you need to, if I would say there is let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, paragraph 4. That paragraph needs to be removed.
You're talking about a city whereas on
Yes.
December 9th.
Nope, right above that. There is some weirdness with subsection 4H.
So I guess my question here would be did we write this up or did
No,
Clark
that's
County?
Clark County's attorney wrote that up, Tanya Bond.
So I guess.
And also
Can
the
I
same
talk
thing.
about that?
Can you talk about
That paragraph you're talking about?
I just don't agree with the
I don't either.
language.
I don't either. That's why I'm asking who wrote it, because
This is not a, like, I just don't agree with the particular language that's used.
Yeah, I don't either.
With that said, then the only other issue I can see is the indemnification clause is a little strange. Or no, it's not the indemnification clause. It's this subsection H about reimbursement for all costs, fees, and expenses for collection of unpaid charges, including but not limited to pre-litigation and litigation attorney's fees. This includes attorney time spent to interpret the law. So that's related to if
It's not paid, yes, that's like the credit card thing you sign at the end of the meeting. It says that whatever state you live in, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna be responsible for our attorney fees if we have to sue you to get them back.
but it doesn't say. It says to collect or to defend. It doesn't say just to get our money. It says you're gonna pay us if we even need to spend time reviewing this document to interpret it, to defend the lawsuit against you all. I think that's a little.
My suggestion is this, I just mark through that and what they would agree with if they want to do that.
They're
This
exactly,
wasn't being-
they're exactly the same.
So, yeah, they're exact same.
They're exactly the same.
But that's why I didn't understand how they can actually be, how they can be exactly the same if they're two attorneys from two different counties.
Same attorney.
It's the same
It's
attorney.
chief, chief represents, I think, like a bunch of different sheriff's offices.
I mean, hell, it's like our HR department just changed the names and write the same thing and charge another price.
It just seems weird. Like, we filed a lawsuit against them, and it doesn't, normally those provisions, like, yes, you sign a contract that says, in the event of litigation, you know.
Is it just misworded? Is it?
Well, normally, like, it says something like about it, it references the outcome of the litigation as being determinative of who's responsible, right? So, like, if, hypothetically, if we were to sue, let's say, like, let's just use random county, Jennings County, and say, Jennings County, you violated this agreement, the agreement might have something in there that has an allocation of attorney's fees based, like, who's responsible for it based on who is determined to be at fault for the breach of the contract at the end of the litigation, rather than one county being responsible for all costs regardless of who's right.
Well, what I question is MOU, and it's written by the same person for two different counties, but what I don't like about it is that it's not an MOU that says if Jerry Good, Sheriff of Scott County, wants to send inmates to Clark County or to Harrison County, that they're gonna take care of our prisoners, they're going to charge us a certain fee and yada, yada, yada. What this looks like is, and then it's more than just the one paragraph that our council talked about, is that it's talking about, here's why we got this MOU and I don't, you know, to me, it's not an MOU.
You could, hypothetically, if that is the concern, you could remove, let's see,
4, 5, 6,
1,
7.
2.
Yeah.
4, 5, 6. I think it's important. 6.
2, 3, 4. 4's 1, 5's 1, 6's 1. 7's 1, or actually 1. 4, 5, 6, 8.
The last one on the first page.
Yeah, I think it's vested interest in working together when one share struggles. That could be.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's probably the purposes. How times. See, there's one on the second page, purpose 2, where it says, you know, purpose of this MOU is establishing a mechanism for the CCSO to provide housing for some of the county's inmates during such time as the county council refuses to properly fund. That's another one. And that doesn't have anything to do with an MOU. An MOU is, to me, is that Clark County Sheriff's or Clark County's government is going to house our prisoners. The reason, you know, why I don't think should be in there. You know,
Okay, this, if you want Zach to look at this, make the changes he wants to do,
Yeah.
I'll shoot it back to him, you know.
Yeah, that's
say,
fine.
say,
I just think there's too many
ifs, ands, but buts in it.
Well, there's just too many things in there that says it's the fault of XYZ, and that's why we're doing it.
Yeah.
If you want an MOU between you and another sheriff's department, I think it ought to just be the MOU. If Jerry
What if
Gooden
it just
decides,
said, sorry, what if it just said the purpose of the MOU is to establish a mechanism for the CCSO to provide housing for some of Scott County's inmates?
Yeah, that'd be fun. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna be honest with you that you're the attorney, you know what I'm saying? So you know.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, no, you're fine. On that, and then, like I said, if you will approve it tonight, I'll just rewrite it, send it back to him, say this is what's been approved to us, whether you sign it or you don't. So,
Yeah, I don't see.
So are we planning on sending inmates to?
Yes, we are. Well, yes. I kind of hate to talk about it over the air, you know what I'm saying, because of operational issues, but, yes.
Well, I mean, I know we're gonna rewrite this and it's gonna come back up.
Yeah.
And I know that the commissioners have the right to enter into contracts.
Like,
Um,
we'll change it. I just numbered the paragraphs that were keeping.
the part that worries me is I don't know our finance. So I'm getting into, I'm being asked to get into a contract, and it'd be like me going to an auction and saying, well, heck, Jerry would love to have that jack, or whatever, but he'll pay $500 for it. You know what I'm saying? So that's
right.
It makes it rough to make a decision.
Yeah, I get that. I understand. I'm not, and like I said, that's why I said, Zach can fix those mistakes on there. The issue of it is this, I can tell you right now, the situation that we have been put in because they fired 20 of my employees, that's the only reason why we're doing this. Otherwise, we wouldn't have to do this. This is something, you know what I'm saying? Now, we keep other prisoners, obviously, like we did for the judge orders somebody come here or whatever. And if we have a problem prisoner, we have what we call high profile prisoner. We don't want Fred to get hurt in our jail, we ship them there. But this is a significant number, you see what I'm saying, of people. And we wouldn't be doing that if that wasn't the case. Hopefully that answers the money part for you. You see what I'm saying?
Well, no, I understand why.
Mm-hmm.
I understand why. And I can't say too much under the current
Right.
circumstances.
That's kind of what I'm saying too.
About anything else other than the fact that, me personally, I'm not over the finances. I am over contracts, but without knowing what the finances is, it would be incredibly reckless for me to say yes, because where do we get the money to do that if there ain't money there, right?
Yeah, and here's what I'll say about that is this. The finances that it's gonna cost you.
It's gonna be more
It's
than
gonna
what it
be more
costs
than
if
you've
we
ever
had
thought about.
ourselves.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
I realize that.
It's going to be more in a house in a different county.
Yeah, it's more house. What I'm talking about is legal issues because of the legal, like if you get sued, something happens, making sure it happens.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to get into like the specifics of it. I will just advise you that there is I don't know that there's a mandatory state statute staffing requirements at jails. There's not. It's not like X amount of prisoners, you have X amount of staff, right? It's determined. I mean,
what they do is,
for instance, like I went to Jefferson County recently, and it seemed like to me that they were able to have less staff because they had a lot of automated systems for like doors that auto, open and close, right? So I don't know that there's any one size fits all, okay, but sheriff has statutory duty to not only house, protect, provide medical care, move and transport from different proceedings for inmates. But he's representing that he does not have the current capacity level of staff to do what he's doing. And he's saying that, I think what you're saying is that in that circumstance, if somebody gets hurt, right, a lot of Section 1983 litigation under the Federal Civil Rights Act involves allegations of failures to adequately staff and train. Like those are very common theories of recovery.
And not only prisoner side, but also, worker side.
I'm not trying to get into the issues that are going on, but I do think you need to consider the issue. The other thing is, I want to be honest with you. I realize, Randy, that I think by statute we have some authority over contracts, but I'll just tell you my opinion is that if the sheriff wants to move a prisoner from one jail to another, I don't know that we have any ability to stop. So
how's that a responsible answer for me? You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's where
Because I don't know where the money's going to come from.
I'm just telling you that
I understand.
there is no process
It's
to
a
prevent a
double-edged
sheriff
sword.
from moving an inmate from one jail to the next.
Well, here's where I'm gonna go.
Based on his own identification of safety issues. That occurs on a regular basis, I would say, in every jail that I have been in.
And that's where I'm gonna go with this, is that you're right, Randy. If there's a plan to start just packing them up and leave them, or taking them out of here to get to a number or whatever, then that's a plan somebody has. What I have a problem with it is that our sheriff, Jefferson County Sheriff, Clark County Sheriff, Floyd County Sheriff, any of those sheriffs have at any time can move prisoners to another jail as long as that jail will accept them. That fee happens when they move them. I mean, he's not gonna come to us every time he's moving prisoners and say, I got a problem over here because we have an inmate that shouldn't be in our jail because of X, Y, Z. And he can move him just like, other things happen, but we don't control his job of what him moving. So what I have a problem with this MOU is some of the language, which is getting wiped out, but I also have a problem with this because you're already doing it. So why do we need an MOU that you're already doing something?
The other jails want it. We wouldn't have a problem with it. You see what I'm saying? But the two other jails, because of the significant number of people that could be moved, they can.
That's the kind of thing I'm
Or
asking, because
they know what situation is going on. Don't want to make sure that they get their money. That would be my.
So in this MOU, well, and that part it's got cut out. So.
Yeah, he's fixed the MOU there. That's the fixed one. So.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't want to.
I understand the need. I absolutely understand the need. I realize that you have a responsibility, that you have to do something, and that call is yours. That's not my issue.
And I get that what you're saying, because I'll tell you another situation arose too, and we discussed it. It's like, okay, so I had an order that I wasn't supposed to spend no more overtime, okay, out of my budget, because they said I didn't have no money to spend overtime in the budget. Well, guess what? 2 weeks ago, I got 143 jury voyeurs sent to me that I had to serve, and we had a trial here. Well, guess what? I had to pay overtime because it was the order of the judge, and I realized I didn't have any money for that overtime. But I can't violate the judge's court orders, and that's what I had to work somebody. And I know it's easy for somebody to say, this is not like enough. I'll use this example. This is not like Jennifer's office. If she's got somebody, working on a day project, come in, you can finish that tomorrow. When the judge orders you to have these served within 3 days, and he says you're going to have somebody here for, the entire time, I don't have a choice to say, oh, Your Honor, I ain't doing it because I don't have overtime. That's my issue.
No, I understand. Let me ask you this. When is ground zero? When
It's
is
today. And here's the reason why I say that is that we were hoping to be able to avoid this. We was hoping that some people would use some common sense and some common knowledge, you see what I'm saying, to be able to avoid to do this, but they decided not to do that. So what we can't do is this. I can't load 150 prisoners up on a van and dump them off at the doorstep of Clark County. And you know what I'm saying, in Harrison County where we take them. Does that make sense? So we've already planned moving these. We've already been moving people because we have to. Because they can take them for one, all at 50 at a time. They can't handle them. So this is something that we've had to plan ahead and start doing already. And the reason why they wanted the MOU again is because of the significant number of prisoners, it's gonna have to be moved because of the shortage of manpower we have. So that was just the other counties. I said, I didn't get an MOU from Clark County when the judge sent Jamie Noel here. You know, we just kept the bill, we sent them the bill, you know what I'm saying, they paid it to us. But because of the high number of prisoners, then they want an MOU. It's nothing different than anybody else would do. This is not nothing, and I think Zach can speak to this. This is not something that, like whenever counties do this, this is not something unique that they're just having us do. This is something that happens. There's a reason why that.
I will say I don't know the back end of it. I don't know the MOU. I'm not disputing that other counties require an MOU. It makes sense, but I just know for a fact that there are times where a sheriff or jail commander or a judge or somebody says, move this person to this place, and it happens.
I guess
but if the judge makes that decision, does the county have to, like,
yes.
if the judge says that we
Yes.
gotta take them to Jefferson,
Yeah.
we have to pay.
We pay.
Correct.
Yes. I got a question to ask it to Doug.
Because we pay, like, that would be food daily that we would be having if we're not serving. We're responsible for medical costs and other things that are provided while someone's incarcerated, whether it's here or somewhere else. And just general, there are a number of costs that we're responsible for. It doesn't matter who works it.
How much do we charge other counties?
It's $37.50 is what
the same.
Yeah.
I got a question about you're talking that your part-time budget or part-time jailers guys eliminated. I asked Doug how many people he needed to run the jail, and he said 22. But out of that 20 full-time that you already have over there, are all those 20 able to run the jail?
Every single person we have is a jailer. It's like Amy, she's a jailer because they're already doing double duty. Technically, if we wanted to get down to it, she's supposed to be our CFO. She's doing CFO duties, but we hired her into the jail because she goes back and has to search female prisoners and has to do those things. So every person we have, everybody that's a jailer has the responsibility at some point in time, maybe not every day, but they had that responsibility that's been put on them that they have to go to jail.
So that's where I asked Doug, and he said my records from the auditor show that there's 20 full-time, and there were like 17 part-time. He said he needed 22. And I asked
and
him,
that's Amy. That's
3 admins.
There's like a whole conglomerate. You know what I'm saying of people. You know what I'm saying.
That's a matron. That's also the 2 court guards at her courthouse. People out here as well. So there's 7 technically that I kind of just wiped out because they're either admins, the jail commander, or whatever. But then I asked him how many people he had on shift, and he said he needed 15 for the first shift, and that included all the admins and everybody else that could do double duty like you're talking about. But then he got the second shift, and he said, I need 8 there, and third shift he needs 7. So that's 30 people. But when he tells me he needs 22,
I think he told you 30, but he
never said
because
that.
I didn't hear it. You see what I'm saying? So I can't. He'll have to answer to that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But that's 30 people, and you don't have 30 people.
Well, we do have because of the part time. The reason why we cover them with the part time.
Yeah, you had, and that's where I'm getting at.
Yeah.
And then the question I had to him was, if you needed more people and not have to rely on part-time people, why hasn't there been a request for additional full-time? Now, granted, I'll be the first to tell you, I think you need, if I had the choice of paying somebody benefits, or if there was enough people that wanted to work part-time, I'd rather have 17 part-time people.
And that's exactly what it is.
But if 17 is the number for part-time, then 22 is not the number.
Well, what I'm trying to say is this, and again, Doug has to speak
I
for
know.
himself. But what I'm trying to say is this. Those part-time guys, like tomorrow, we may need 7 part-timers to come in on day shift. The next day, we may need 1. We may need none. The next day, we may need 10. Because there's stuff that happens within the jail that we can't control. You know, people get hurt, people does stuff, we have transport, blah, blah, blah. what we were doing, you're exactly right, Mike, you're exactly, we were saving the taxpayers of Scott County thousands of dollars by hiring the part-time employees, which is nothing that I did.
Yeah.
Part-time employees have been here way before, you know what I'm saying?
And I agree with that.
So that's,
I mean, they've been there forever, but
and it's about a money saving thing. So technically for me to come, I could come to you tomorrow and say, yeah, Doug, I need your manpower list of what you need in the jail, because I know what I need on the road and do it to you. And it's scary.
well, and that's where the numbers he gave me the other day didn't match up, and I was trying to figure,
Yeah.
okay, I understand on day shift, because Doug can go back there and watch an area or do something, or these, or the 3 admins, and I know they do too, but I was just trying to figure out, 22 doesn't add up to 30, and I know I like to live in a world where, and if you budget for 22 full-time people, and they're saying that's what we need, then they're gonna budget for 22 people. I mean, they're not gonna budget for 17 part-time people unless we say we need 30 people, but we'd like to have some of them part-time. I mean, now, and that's where I wanted to ask you a question.
Yeah, that's like I said, Doug will have to explain it to you on his manpower, but I can tell you this, we had agreed, and I was part of that agreement, you see what I'm saying, that we would use part-time employees to save the taxpayers money. That's the reason why those numbers fluctuate on a daily basis. And I'll tell you this, on our part-time employees for the jail, that job never closes. As you know, we keep it open because we can't keep
rotation.
So if we could get, I'll be honest with you, if I could get 25 part-timers, because you only work them when you need them.
Yeah.
So if I could get 25 part-timers, it helps us out, because then all of our other folks would be able to take time off. You know what I'm saying?
But I think where, in the future, I think where I'm not gonna be here, but where I prefer something to be is if that number's not 22, then you know, and you say it's 26 or something between 22 and 30, you could say, but I would, you know, at that point, you could go to council and go, you know what? I don't want them to be full-time people, but I would prefer they be part-time people, because now you're not paying a benefit, but you are fully staffed, because 22, you're not fully staffed.
And I'll tell you this, we did that with the prior council. That because we just had a study done, manpower study just done last year. So let me do this. Let me submit that. I'll submit that. And that way you'll know exactly what the ISA guy says that's over the jail says this is what you need, this is what you gotta have. But I can tell you right now, we're woefully under the number of people.
Well, I guarantee it, because the numbers don't add up. I mean, it's 30 and you got 22.
Because we're trying to save money.
They run double duties and they do maintenance and everything.
Well, my whole thing, and I'm sure the council would have appreciated, is that if that number is not 22 and you want to budget for enough to cover your shifts, that number has to change. I mean, and
we can do that.
And,
That's
and
not
then
an issue.
again, when they look at it and go, well, we got too many part-time. Well, that's, yeah, I get the plus there, but the numbers don't add up. And again, I think budgeting is not my forte, and I don't want to do it. And, but again, when I look at it, 30 is the number, and however you get to that 30, whether it's you telling them, hey, we need 30, but we'll take 8 part-time.
And that's what we did before. That's what we did before with the prior council. So that was done, but I understand what you're saying. Totally. I'm saying on the same page.
All right, back to this MOU. I really have an issue with it, and I've signed it for the fact that I think it's already an agreement with other sheriffs. I mean, and you do it every day. You've done it for the last, and I don't really understand why they want an MOU now, which I'm sure probably in the past maybe there was one. I don't know, but it seems like.
I'll tell you this, Mike, out of respect for you guys, I had them do this because if you notice on the back page, look at the names on the back page. And I discussed.
I understand. That's why.
Because it says you guys are supposed to be the ones that does all the agreements. That's the reason why I brought it to you, is for that reason. I didn't have to, but out of respect, I felt like I needed to.
I get that, but again, I think this is already a moving
progress.
It's already a moving document, so you're already doing it. So I don't know why we really need an MOU, in my opinion, but that's me. I'm
just gonna go back to what I said, which is, look, based on the statute and my understanding of, common practice, I think it just establishes ground rules for amounts, but I guess, I think based on what the sheriff said, 3750 is kind of the going, it's almost like the FEMA rate, right, for a highway employee. But I would just tell you that if the sheriff wants to move an inmate, he will move an inmate.
And that's what I was getting ready to say. But
And the back of that contract has the sheriff's signature line on there. This battle was kind of fought. I believe it was like in Lake County.
Yeah, it was certain opinions.
I want to say maybe 2 years ago, went up to the Court of Appeals. Now there was a specific finding that I think dealt with the idea that there both was an appropriation and the sheriff wanted to enter into an agreement, and it dealt with like medical contracts. And it was the commissioners that said no. So it was basically like council had funded it, sheriff wanted to do it, commissioner said no, the Court of Appeals said he had the authority to sign that. Just telling you what the
I understand
case law said.
That was.
But you're
That-
saying
that
this
kind of
was
counts.
the MOU from each county? Yeah, that was from their county.
So I guess, just bring up, I guess, the notes there.
Well, I mean,
Because it
the
doesn't
bottom
really
line
matter.
here is
I guess I'm gonna have to just get over the fact, I'm not a council member, that's not my job, I don't know how much money there is. My job is to accept contracts.
Well, the thing about it is, he's gonna do it whether we sign it or we don't sign it. And quite honestly, that's where I'm getting at, is that it's already something you're doing anyway. And not at this particular moment. It's something you've done since you've been sheriff, and it's something Scotty Maples does, and it's something that, other people do as well. I mean.
I just like to have your permission, especially when it comes to the other counties sending that to me and saying, hey, can you have your.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I may agree to it, but I don't agree to why you're doing it. So I'm gonna,
That's totally up to you.
I think there's a avenue to rectify this situation, and putting a burden further on taxpayers is not what I like to do.
I totally agree with everything you're saying. We're on the same page, and I've said that that's why it had to come down to this.
Well, and again, I guess if I can make it a little minute, is that it's not anything different. We're not, outside of the language that was taken out. It's an MOU, just like you're doing yesterday, you've done 10 years ago, or.
But we did it with the prisoners working in the cities. It's the same thing. I brought that to you guys. You see what I'm saying? So that's the reason why I try to,
So we'd be good. Beat this to death, so. What's your comments, suggestions?
My suggestion would be to revise the changes that Zach pointed out.
Well, let me just clarify something, just so people are here, people that are listening, is that we're not giving you carte blanche to do what you're gonna do. I mean, I want you to understand that I for one, am not, agreeing what's gonna happen.
And
I'm agreeing that we enter into agreement that's already happened
Yes.
anyway.
I get that.
And that's all. And I'm talking in the past. I'm not talking about.
I would not put. I'm not putting. I don't put you guys in a position of saying. All I'm going to do is just say, hey, listen, because I come to you with this stuff, just like.
I get it.
Because we had an argument because I didn't before. Remember, and so I always did that now. I try to.
But I just want you to know, if I sign this, it doesn't say that I agree that what you're going to do is that I'm in agreement.
I think that's a good preface in terms of, because I'm just going to read the holding from the Court of Appeals in this Lake County case. Court of Appeals held that the trial court did not exceed its authority by ordering the County Board of Commissioners and auditor to process, approve, and pay invoices submitted by the sheriff related to a contract that everybody agreed county commissioners did not execute and did not approve and actually voted against. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, I'm just.
And it was specifically related to a jail services contract. That's what it was. Now, there's another case that's very different, had to do with like commissary funds and stuff. That they did say, you know, he had to come here and ask us for that because it wasn't jail specific.
Well, I'll,
Let me ask you a question, and this is just a question, if there's that. Do you want this, do you think it would be appropriate to say that they gave me approval to sign the MOU, that they're aware of the MOU I'm signing?
I think that's probably what needs to happen anyways, because based on the statute, like in the cases, I just don't even think that, I mean, I understand what you're saying in terms of coming to them for approval first, but I feel like if it's your contract, you know, sign it, and you want to move prisoners, I mean, we just don't have any control over that. I'm not gonna say I'll to Mike's point, like we may not agree with why you're doing it or that you're doing it or those types of things, but that's not our okay. So it's like an agree to disagree situation.
For me, it's normally if we enter into an MOU, I know where the money is, I know we have the money, and I know, you know, every aspect of it. And this, I don't. So that's why I kind of.
Oh, again, no,
knee-jerk.
I'm not.
You
But
know?
I know, unfortunately, like I said, it's very, 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 very unfortunate that it's had to come to this because this didn't need to happen. But I can't put 165 prisoners with 2 people watching them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, makes it very, very.
I understand your side, yeah.
all right. I'm gonna entertain a motion to sign 2 MOUs for Park County and Harrison County, with the redactions that we've requested. And I guess
What we're going to do is not agree to enter into a contract on one.
it's just an MOU. I mean, we're allowing him to sign an MOU. I mean, we're not signing.
Yeah, I think Randy, that's you're right. That's the motion we've kind of tacitly agreed to here.
Yeah. So
Well, I'll make a motion to allow you to enter a contract with
MOU.
How about that?
I
I'm sorry.
mean, like
I didn't.
the
Okay.
distinction between an MOU and a contract, I think is in some respects often a misnomer. A contract is, there's a legal definition for what a contract is, and just because I say something is not a contract doesn't necessarily mean that it isn't a contract. So
I'm gonna make a motion and allow you to enter into a MOU.
either way.
I mess it up again?
No, it's just, all I'm saying is I don't think the nomenclature that you use to describe the agreement itself determines whether or not it's contractual. That's a separate
issue altogether. Yeah. Randy just made a motion to.
Yeah. Randy's made a motion to accept an MOU or allow sheriff to enter into an MOU with Clark County, Harrison County with the revisions that have been talked about. So Greg seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, but I also want to know, or stated that, even though we're entering into an MOU with 2 counties that we probably already do this with anyway, it's just, I guess, a update of. All right.
Do you want us to send you a new copy when it's fixed?
What do you want to do?
I'll fix it and send it to you if you say it's okay.
That's fine. I've just marked through with red the specific provisions that are problematic, I think. And then there is one provision at the bottom. If their attorney wants to call me and ask about why they have the or to offend language in there, I'd be happy to talk. I mean, I'm not saying anticipate every situation, then maybe they're thinking of something.
All right, is that it?
Thank you, sir.
It's for,
Yeah, we'll take that. Yeah, that's the same, we'll keep that in process.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And be, if we don't see you guys.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Clerk Jobs. You all right?
I'm not fine now. Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Clerk, job description.
Do you already have that? Because Michelle told me she was not going to be here.
This is about additional duties for the election for the deputy.
I thought
That's
she
correct.
didn't send, I thought Addie Rooker sent that directly.
I don't know if I've got those. I don't think I forwarded them to you guys. Did Michelle?
Can you table that issue and
Yes.
Okay.
We'll move on
Be
to
right back.
the auditor data pit stop
Yes.
contract.
That's-
I think she did actually.
We'll let him bring that back. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Until midnight.
You're right.
Okay, this is the one I was telling you about that we're struggling with excise tax between the treasurer and the auditor's offices. This gentleman, we use a company that's in Jackson County right now that's not working for us as well. Wow, likes the ones at this one. And also, I know Washington County uses this guy. It's a $6,000 contract. It's a one-time. He'll come here, he'll help us get it lined out. Once we get things lined out, he'll continue to help us from now on. There will never be another payment, another interest. It's a $6,000 lifetime.
And you have the amount?
Yes.
You guys got any questions? I'll entertain a motion to allow her to enter into a contract with this data pit stop.
Okay.
She has the money.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes the motion. Greg?
I'll say.
Greg seconds that. I'll make that unanimous. Consideration of the attorney represent, oh, that's the exact thing.
Yeah.
Let's go to the meeting or the 2025 meeting schedule.
I think I've got two of those. I just,
That's the holidays.
yeah. Well, wait a minute. We've got two of them because how do you want to set your meetings up for 2025? Do you want to keep them at 5 o'clock the first and third Wednesday? And we can make a schedule. I'll have it the last day of the month ready for that. But I wanted to get that so we can get it advertised. And then this is the holiday schedule. I'm sorry. So we're.
Yeah. So is that less the two that we were talking about?
Yes. They're still listed, but they show that there's no election, so there's no day off. You guys do want to keep then the Monday, Wednesday, first and third Wednesday at 5.
Yeah.
I'll entertain a motion to do that. I don't think we ever did that. We just, what we said.
Well, you might have moved it the last one, but it was not signed. But it wouldn't hurt to do another motion just in case.
All right. Entertain a motion to keep the commissioners' meetings on the first and third Wednesdays.
Do you make it here on at 5 o'clock? So you gonna lose the 6?
I mean, yeah, for the most part.
So you're good at 5?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make the motion to keep it at 5.
Randy makes a motion to continue the commissioners' meetings as they're set. Craig?
I'll say.
Craig seconds that. I'm gonna make that unanimous. So these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
There's 2 at Thanksgiving.
14. All right, we're talking 14 holidays. There's no election this coming year, so the courthouse shouldn't be shut down for anything. So I think last year was it 16?
Yeah.
So what's your pleasure?
I like it, and this is what we talked about exactly the other day, so the last meeting.
Well, I'm good with it. All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept the holiday schedule for 2025 as it's posted.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes that motion, Greg. Greg seconds that, and make that unanimous. Greg.
Jennifer, I just sent those to you.
Inspector, all right, we did the holiday schedule, we did the other, the application for group,
Yeah, that's what you have to sign for Cigna. We do that every year.
yeah, where's it at?
It's right there.
Yeah. Application for group insurance coverage for county employees, something we do every year. We'll say that we, I say roughly $170,000 for the increase of $185,000 to the county employees, so kind of offset that 5%. Was BJ here today?
Yes.
So he did some open enrollment today. Probably had an opportunity to look at it or whatever. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the coverage for calendar year 2025.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes the motion, Greg seconds that. I'll make that.
Zach, do you
Mr.
need to
Attorney,
copy something?
Yes, I sent you the job description, so I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Attorney, it's back to you on the consideration of attorney representing the litigation matter.
So I have an agreement with legal services that's been provided by Jeffrey Hansford with Felsdover and Graves. It has a signature line. It also has a signature line for the Scott County Council, so I know that they have a meeting. It's, I think, on the 20th. Okay, so the agreement is for representation of auditor's office, commissioner, and the council. And there's a signature line for Jennifer as well. She can sign tonight if she wants, but what I would ask is that the commissioners go ahead and execute the agreement for the commissioners, that Jennifer execute on her behalf, that we go ahead and send it to the council for consideration at their meeting, just so everybody understands it's for the hourly rate is charged at $205 an hour and $85 an hour for paralegal time. We can read the estimated amounts and things, but it's for specific representation regarding ongoing litigation.
I have a question before the.
Yes.
If with the current litigation that's against us, if we happen to lose that, do we pay? If we happen to win that, do we pay the other person's? So we're paying everybody's attorney fees no matter what. Okay, I want people to know that. All right.
That's the way it's set up.
Sorry about the evening. I wanted to, well, first of all, you guys got any questions about? Nope. I'll entertain a motion to accept the agreement for legal services for this pending litigation that the county's in, so.
I'll make that motion.
Randy's made a motion, Greg.
I'll second.
Greg second that. I'll make that, unfortunately, I'll make that unanimous. Just Jennifer. All right. Moving along here. You have that stuff on the court.
I think Jennifer is printing off.
Okay, while we're doing that. Nick, sorry. I'm gonna entertain a motion to amend the agenda to allow EMS to.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda.
So Randy's made the motion to amend the agenda to add EMS. Greg second. Come on.
Oh, are you rushing me?
I don't have any place to go, so I don't care if we're here all night.
That's the, you can part it.
I do. Yeah, but I'm taking.
I I wanted to update you on two things. You got your financial stuff at the top. The truck issue, with the transmission has been in place, fixed, and the transmission's back under warranty. So, that has been rectified. I'm on the council, to go for an additional appropriation. However, I think I might, with enough line transfers, not need an additional. I think we've got enough money. If we do, it will not be the full amount that's requested. So just wanted to let you know that that has been fixed. And this week we've been going over our budget stuff. And I know with the auditor's office, we've transferred some stuff this week. And I think after all of our claims should be in by now, after everything's processed under review, hopefully that's somewhat close by Friday, and I'll know whether I need an additional or not. But the total came to 12 all in all, somewhere around 12, for parts, labor, and all that.
12,000.
So.
And it's got a warranty with it.
Yes.
So now we have a new truck, technically with a new warranty motor and a new warranty transmission.
That has got a full power plant in it, from motor to transmission in the same truck. So
Okay.
that's the one benefit is, we replaced the motor at the beginning of the year.
That was about, what was that, 18?
What?
To replace the motor?
15 and change.
So we're probably 30 in with a new vehicle, technically.
Yeah, new power plant. So there's only 110,000 miles on the truck. There's about 20,000 on the new motor and about 20 on the new transmission. So Austin is keeping track of when we put that motor in and what the miles we're at. So, looking at the odometer, we've got 109,192 miles on the truck. However, we've only got 20, 30,000 on the motor on it. So that's a benefit. More exciting news. We've got one of the van chassis that we've got with the same power plant in it starting to have the same symptoms as the truck that we replaced the motor in this year did. So I just kind of wanted to keep you guys updated on that.
What year is that one?
It's also a 21.
How bad year?
I think it's a bad motor for what they're putting it in. You put that motor in my pickup truck, thing's nasty. You put it in something that weighs 18,000 pounds, I don't think it was meant to do it. And then I don't know that I'm not a mechanic, don't claim to be. I can tear some stuff up though. But I think it's more the idle time that kills it than anything. So, but that seems to be a oil valley return is one thing that I've heard. And
I don't know what you just said. So.
Yep. So, but just want to let you know it's becoming symptomatic with that. We replaced, did a full oil change with a little bit lighter weight synthetic oil in it today. Replaced plugs, coils, and wires today, just to see if it's a combustion issue or if it's an ignition issue. So, we'll find out here in the next few days if it's a combustion issue or an ignition issue. But just kind of wanted to keep that on your radar. When I come back with some good news, probably here within the next month or two. It's not a surprise. But then I just wanted to, since this is the last time that we'll meet this year, hopefully, just wanted to give you our end of year financial report. So you guys, I do that every year. I'll bring the same thing to the council. But there's the 3 running years that I've been here, just to give you an idea of where we're at, run volume and financial wise, and see if you have any questions on that. And then behind it is your colorful flow chart, as always, that I provide. If you want a copy, there you go.
So, what is going to? I mean, I know it's a projection, but what do you anticipate starting 2025 with?
In our cash ledger, like our bank, somewhere around 1.2. Yeah, that's pretty, obviously. So the algorithm that I wrote that goes on our colorful spreadsheet that I give you has us projected to hit 2.63 million. I don't think we'll get there. I think it'll be about 2.59, somewhere in that ballpark is my realistic projection. I don't think we'll hit the 2.63, but we should be within 15,000 of 2.6 would be my educated guess based off of where we're trending. And we got one payroll left. Right now, we've got right at 1.325 sitting in the bank. We've got one payroll left, and we've got, a $12,000 claim for a transmission and some other stuff hitting. So I'm projecting that we'll start somewhere around that 1.2, which, you can see what we started with in 22, 23, 24, and where we ended. So it's been a $500,000 growth each year. So I'm proud of that and happy for that. Next year, I just want to say it's going to be significantly different, and don't expect the change just because we gave up quite a bit of lit money to where we only got 2 things being covered now instead of all the umbrella policies. I've got half of the umbrella policies covered. So don't expect the growth. If anything, maybe expect to end a little less than we're starting with this year, just because that's what it's going to be. I went from like a 10% funding to like 6. So it's good, and that's the way that we want to trend. But at some point, we're going to meet that fulcrum, and it was not a force of the council. It's an agreement that we came to. It was, offered by my part because I think it's time that we test the waters to see where our breaking point is. So I just want to make it known that it was not a force by the councilor that, it was a conversation that we came to a mutual agreement of this seems like an OK figure to start with. And I did explain that, we could ask for more next year. Maybe we give some more back. I don't know. I can't read the future, but the volatility of our department is we can't read the future. And the main volatility is we are highly dependent on our income. So that's been explained. So those are the goals and the prospects that we've got, but I'm not going to sit here and promise anything for the future. I can just promise you that barring something really catastrophic happening in the next 12 days, that we should be around our starting balance. You can see our runs have gone up about 400 for the year compared to last year, but you can also see our expenditures are going up. That's no secret, but even with our expenditures going up, you can see so is our cash ledger, even with having our expenditures go up. So, it is what it is. And that's where we're at. But just wanted to give you.
I want to thank you for what you accomplished. I know you left, and you weren't in that position here when you left, but when you did leave, one of the votes I voted no on turned into a nightmare for Scott County and Scott County EMS. I appreciate what you've done when you came back. I know before you came back, I asked you to do something, and you, unbeknownst to me, and I really didn't think you'd do it, but you did. Told you to keep this quiet and take a lot of crap from people, and you did. And I'm glad that it turned around. I mean, you're a numbers person. I won't say you're a people person, but
I don't blame you.
but you tend to rub. You're like me. You tend to rub people the wrong damn way.
That's the analogy I get is
I think you're all right. I don't know what you say. I'll try to train you as much as I can.
But I just appreciate what you've done. I'm going to say don't get the damn big head and not be able to get out the door, but I don't know that too many other people would have turn this around like you turned it around, but, and it wasn't because you're a people person, but, you know.
What a backhanded compliment.
So
Don't
anyway.
leave that. That's actually how I introduce you.
Appreciate that.
But anyway,
no, I think
your reputation precedes you. And again, I appreciate everything you've done because I don't think it would have been done any other way. And the flip side of what I'm laughing about it is exactly what had to happen. And quite honestly, the people that were here when you came back bought into it. And if they hadn't bought into it, it would have been a disaster. But, you know, for some reason, you being the people person you are, you've got a bunch of people on board out there with you, which I don't know if I need to do some mental evaluations out there or what. But,
if you remember correctly, I even said in my interview, I may not be the long-term solution, but I was the solution that you needed at the time because you didn't need a people person. You needed someone to fix the issue.
That's exactly right.
And, you know, unbeknownst to you, I might be a little bit more of a people person than you realize. But I can
Where at? Because your wife even tells me.
Have you met her? You think she's a people person? That's a hot call. Anyways.
I'm going to go the other way.
Yes, I do.
He's got a great staff that buys in to his leadership, and that's a heck of a reflection on you and your abilities and skill level. So I think we need to give him a little more credit on the people person aspect.
This is
I think you got more soft skills than what you're letting on. So.
No, it's definitely a joint effort. It's a team effort. This isn't all me by any means. Some of it I had to sell to the staff, and you know, I will say the staff. Some of the stuff that I proposed to you was the staff's idea. I think it's a testament to what when you actually have a group effort that can be done. And there's still a lot of work to do. We're not perfect by any means, but I think if you look back 3 years with the amount of debt that was there and the amount of money that was gone, to say that we're going to end the year with 7 figures,
yeah,
and
well,
go
one
from the $972,000 that I was on lit for that when we came here to next year getting 300, and have a growing cash ledger. You know, I'd call that a win every day of the week.
Well, actually, most counties, and I've said this, and that's why I argue with council about certain things. I argue with some of the council members about is that they were giving you so much grief about how you were getting there. Is that look at Clark County, look at Floyd County. They're talking about $7 to $15 million to start an ambulance service or to have an ambulance service, and I don't care what they do, they will never have the people, the experience, and the dedication that our people have.
And you know, and that was I know some of the conversation when I first came here was the whole private conversation, and I mean, I think again that is a good testament to why you don't. You've got a $300,000 buy-in for a multi-million-dollar ambulance service here, or you have a multi-million-dollar buy-in for no ambulance service because you're renting it. So you know, even if you had to fund this service fully, you have something to show for it. You're not going to do something. So and I mean, it's been a joint effort, and I think we can all attest. We haven't all agreed on everything along the way, but I think there's been a definite collective conversation that has got us to where we're at. And I want to say thank you to the 3 of you for the support, especially you. I mean, I know you gave me a lot of grief coming back, but I appreciate you reaching out and believing in the process. And I mean, that's one thing I will say that, you know, I haven't felt micromanaged along the way one bit. I know I bounce a lot of stuff off of you, but that's just me trying to show respect instead of just shooting from the hip and saying this is what we're doing. So I do appreciate the support along the way, and it does mean a lot. And I will say my staff sees it as well, and they appreciate it equally as much. So to give credit where credit's due, you're as equal part in this process and this growth over the last 3 years as I am. So.
Well, I want to say something real quick, and I appreciate both of you two. And, you know, I have not been real hands-on with EMS. I'm not a micromanager. I think if something's running fine and I'm not involved, then I shouldn't get involved. Basically. And when I came in,
there's a grinder over at the sheriff's department.
When I came into this office, EMS was in a terrible way. I have never had anything to do or nothing to know about this type of, I'm more of a construction guy. I'm more of a, but thanks to Mike, I was able to lean heavily on him and he made the right decisions, and I trusted in that, and hey, we landed on solid ground. Absolutely 100%. And I'm going to back up what Mike said. Not everybody could do that, it's hard to be behind the 8 ball that far and, get to where we are now. I don't care whose world.
And I know,
what business.
we realize this. I don't think the general public has an idea, and I don't expect them to, but the amount of insert expletive here that our department gets, or I get at times, I think is just lack of education. So I appreciate the people that have invested time in the service and understand where we started and where we're at. And, I worked here for going on a decade prior to leaving here for a couple of years. And, a lot of the people, I'd say at least half the staff has put in a lot of time here. And then I've got a lot of new staff that we're trying to get them to the time that they want to put a lot of time in here. So, again, we're not perfect, never claim to be, but, I do this every year, even though you're not, the fiscal board, you make decisions based off my fiscal report. I just wanted to let you know where we're at. We did take on debt this year, but, at some point that's bound to happen because we have to get new equipment, and we have to get new trucks, and we have to do a rotation. And luckily, thankful to you guys, we're on a rotation. We're supposed to pick up our truck next week, the 26th and the 27th. And then the other one will be in June. So
I just had one last thing, and our attorney, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but one last thing I want you to do is.
Try to finally say something.
No. You can January 2.
Okay.
But is to try and come to some sort of agreement with the hospital on transfers. We don't need to be driving down the road, just throwing money out the damn window. So maybe.
To be fully transparent with you, I don't have the staffing to keep up with the amount of transfers that hospitals sending out at this time. And I would say, being honest, we're turning down roughly 35 to 40% of the transfers that we're getting toned out on.
Is that what Switzerland County's over here?
No, Switzerland County is contracted with one of the nursing homes, and they do a lot of the dialysis rooms.
I was trying to figure out why they were running, but.
But I'm just letting you know. I mean, it's just I don't have enough units.
I know. Well,
to keep up.
And the thing about it is, and that's where.
Well, I get there's money there, but when I'm calling you 4th, 5th, and 6th trucks, we're no balance of making money and expenditures is no longer there.
I get that. Where I'm getting at is that I'm not asking you to do this. I'm asking. There's going to have to be a conversation with the CEO of Norton's Hospital, and they're going to have to understand that. When they came here, and I sat in the meeting with the CEOs, and they said, we're going to bring surgeries here, we're going to bring this here, we're going to bring that here, and all they've done, they don't even keep a patient out here anymore. So
I'm the choir.
Everything is shipped out of here, and we can't control that. Now, January 1, maybe I'd buy an ambulance and I'd transfer everybody. I mean,
need a director?
But I'm just saying that there has to be an avenue of they either change their ways of being a hospital in a rural environment and quite honestly, I don't want to stop the transfer because that's where we generate revenue. But
I think the
we have that.
conversation of investment from that hospital is going to have to come.
So, anyway, I'll shut up.
Well, I'll just say thank you for all you've done through this year. Outstanding as always. And I to just go back real quick on Randy mentioned something. And I know Mike has worked with you hand in hand and drove you in this and you know, that obviously will be gone as far as that part of it goes, but we'll, you know, obviously empower you to be the best you can do there, such as we would, you know, do Kevin and Andrew and anybody else in here or at the county level. So, you know, thank you for doing what you do, and we're always gonna. I look at it, you know, we're here for you as a resource, you know, and we empower you to do great things that you do. So, thank you.
I appreciate it. That's all I got.
Maintenance coming, open the door wider.
The county appreciates you a lot more than you do.
You got a dolly around here, but just so you know, we're at 999 out of that hospital for the year that we've taken.
Okay, yeah, and I'm glad you brought
That's
that
a
up.
conversation
For a different day.
that has to happen.
Yep. So, anything
All right.
else?
That's it.
I
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, sir.
Merry Christmas.
Coming in, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. We have multiples here.
Yes, there's a combined job description for the chief deputy, and then there's 3 separate,
Bookkeeping,
yes.
second deputy,
And another
second deputy criminal.
Yes, and they're all, the only changes I think to the other, there were only updates, and it was just removing language related to like, you need to have typewriting skills, and you need to have skills related to like use of microfilm and other stuff that there's really not.
All right. I think everybody's having a conversation with our clerk about what she was asking for with all these job codes and combinations and everything else. So
And they've all gone to
Erwin.
Good.
Are we done?
It's getting late.
It is.
I think we're trying to hit a record.
Well,
He's ordering pizza.
But
no, we're not. I'll entertain a motion to approve the position description of the chief deputy and election clerk. So moved by our HR department. So I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes a motion to accept the new, I guess, clarification of the job for deputy clerk, election clerk. Greg seconds that. I'll make that unanimous. So at the bottom of this, you got this back there? Who signed this, mate?
I think that's only if
Says
you offer a
application
job.
employee
Yeah.
acknowledgement. I guess.
no, I think we're just approving the
Yes.
job description.
Yeah.
That's for somebody applying for the
Yes.
job. All right, second one is a bookkeeping and second deputy superior court criminal, civil, traffic, and juvenile position. So I'll entertain a motion to accept that new language for that position.
Get that one.
I'll make the motion.
Greg makes a motion since Randy's.
Yeah, I'll second that
motion. Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous.
I can let you know here in a few
Next
minutes.
one.
You need it right now.
Same thing, second deputy, superior court, criminal, civil, traffic, and juvenile court. I'll entertain a motion to accept that change for those changes.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes a motion, Greg.
I'll second.
Greg seconds it, I'll make that unanimous. Last one. Second deputy, superior, criminal, civil, traffic, juvenile court. I'll entertain a motion to accept the new verbiage in the job description.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes that motion, Greg.
I'll second.
Greg seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous. All right, consideration of the regular or special invoices.
Okay, we've got one special invoice, and it was for Nick. It's for his son.
No wonder he laughed.
Yeah. It's for a TC Auto. It's for his ambulance
Oh,
repair.
yeah, that's for the transmission being it.
Mhm.
Special invoice for $1,473.32 for, actually, this is for coil packs, spark plugs, and ABS sensor So I'll entertain a motion to pay the special invoice.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes a motion to pay the special invoice for $1,473.32. Greg?
I'll say.
Greg seconds that. I'll make that unanimous. So now I'll entertain a motion to pay all the regular claims. Everybody's had them sent from Mandy. So I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes a motion to pay the regular claims. Greg?
I'll say.
Greg seconds it. I'll make that unanimous. So everybody's had an opportunity to look at the payroll. So I'll entertain a motion to pay the payroll for December the 13th, 2024.
I'll make that motion.
Greg, or Randy makes a motion. Greg?
Second.
Greg seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous.
Right.
So I'll entertain a motion to pass or approve the minutes for, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for December 6th, 2024.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes a motion. Greg?
I'll say.
Greg seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous. So, Mr. Attorney, do you have anything else?
I do not.
Jennifer, do you have anything else?
Nothing I can think of.
Randy, do you have anything else?
Yes.
Greg, do you have anything else?
When is it? We have another meeting. We're on the schedule.
Yeah, we're talking about
Yeah.
having a meeting on Monday, the 30th.
Monday the 30th.
Don't want to do it on like the 25th.
Or the 31st.
So what's your guys' pleasure? You all right with the 30th, Monday at 5 o'clock? It'll be a short, sweet, anything, just closing out the year with anything else going on here. You need this?
Don't say this.
Yeah. Well, this would have been as long as it is if we hadn't had the hearing.
I need you to
Yes,
sign,
so,
sign that.
yes.
I just have a
Marcel.
question, I don't know if you can answer or not. That
I'm-
lawsuit that's gonna be taking place,
We can't answer it.
you know where, you know where the money's gonna come from yet, or we have to kind of increase it?
Nope, not for that.
Okay, no, all right.
Not for that.
Much.
I'm sorry.
I would like to see your all's interest. I would like to see if you guys would agree with me to
Oh, that's a deep dive.
use our venture trucking funds to purchase dinner. Have it delivered here like we did Thanksgiving a couple years ago or last year for the employee.
So, yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, do we have any idea what it cost us last time?
I could probably go look. I
I'm
think it was
ballpark.
between 3,000 and 4,000.
I would, yeah, I just
think
did a
it's about
quick.
that. But I'm thinking, boy,
$15
you're
a meal
getting
times
awful
200
late in
people,
the
something like that.
game to do that.
Are we?
Do
Are
I?
we too
We're
late?
getting awful late in the game to do that. I mean, I can see what we can do, but that's kind of.
Yeah, we may have to.
It's 18th.
Plus it's pizzas.
Well,
Yeah, that,
Maybe
yeah,
do.
that's.
I mean, I'd like to talk to
Mm-hmm.
her tomorrow and see if she has time to whip something out.
I'll tell you
like that,
what,
but
I'll agree to it if you can make it happen, but, you know, so I guess I'll entertain a motion to tentatively say, we'll do it if it can all fall in place, and not to exceed a certain amount. So,
I'd like to make that motion.
all right, Randy's made a motion to provide a Christmas week dinner to county employees not to exceed, I'm gonna say $5,000, and hopefully it's a whole lot less than that.
God, yeah.
Yeah, same.
Greg seconds that, I'll make that unanimous, so, that's it. I'll entertain a motion to
find
adjourn the
out.
meeting.
I'm gonna make that motion.
Greg makes a motion to adjourn the meeting, so you second that?
I will. I've got one real quick thing to say.
Here we go.
Mike, I appreciate being on the board of commissioners with you. not very many, a lot of people after getting voted out of office will probably start slowing down, but you have not. You have 100% just been going right at it just like every day. And not as a commissioner, but as a citizen of Scott County, I respect that of you. And you have, I think you've been a really good commissioner. And anyway, that's enough. We'll be in touch.
I appreciate it. I'm gonna save my stuff for the next meeting, Mike.
All right. So Randy made a motion to adjourn, Greg. Or you made a motion.
I made a motion.
He seconds it. I'll make it unanimous. Kilberg,